Right.
Hey.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome back for day 64. Hopefully we never get that far. So we had a really productive second half of the day yesterday, working through some of our proposals, making some adjustments, doing some more kind of costing calculations and proposal calculations. We're still working on a few of those, but I think we're really starting to get ready to present kind of some packages, if you will, here in the next couple of sessions or couple of days, depending on a few items. With that being said, we're open to what the morning looks like. We talked about a couple things that we had with scheduling to work on. We have a couple of proposals that we can kind of represent with some adjustments. And then we wanted to talk about potentially dropping some items as well. We get to this point often in negotiations that there's a lot of stuff on the table and we're all kind of like looking at all these different things. And so a lot of energy is being spent on a lot of different things. So we would like to potentially just drop some items and be able to kind of bring some focus back to higher priority items or items that we just found like we were potentially further away on things or had a difference, I think, of value. Some of those items we kind of valued at a certain spot. When we see a costing or a potential cost, we go, ooh, that's really far away. I don't think we'll get there on this one. So
That's great.
yeah, with that, do you have a preference on where we start?
Go.
Okay.
All you.
Let's start with a fun opening proposal.
All right.
So we have ready to present a standby pay for day crew. Cam, are you on Trello where you can drop that into the shared folder? I think I will. Totally Cam under the table on that one.
Did you add it in the Trello?
It should be just updated in that regular doc.
Oh, he's that same.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. We all three have been trying to figure out how to red lines and be consistent, and it never works out well. We literally had the conversation and we're like, how do you redline a red line effectively? And this is my arch nemesis of negotiations. Is counters. You create a new counter, a new proposal,
An amended proposal, a counter.
Yeah. So this one is really funny to me and the way that I lined it out.
Do we introduce green font?
I know.
Red is green.
Purple.
There is an introduction of new font. Union proposal.
Proposal or counter?
That's the updated.
Well, it's an updated, yeah, we can call it
Oh, you can call that.
whatever you want.
We could put it in count.
Christine?
Stacy.
Let's go proposal.
Yeah, there we
How
go.
about that?
In essence, you would, and that's
It's a-
kind of what I did yesterday. You went through the previous, you're introducing a new.
You call those proposals, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just.
If it was a rewrite, I said it was a proposal because we basically withdrew the other one and introduced a new one. I didn't redline the other one, right?
All right, under
Wrong.
today's date, union proposal. We'll go with the only one in there for the perfect time.
All right, so hopefully everybody is able to see and pull it up. Look, Justin's the first one in there.
Wow.
Look at him go.
Put him on the
Good,
board.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
Justin a point. Good job, Justin. So the change really is just referencing the actual language at the bottom. This was initially asking for a 3-hour and a 6-hour DOT rate. When we saw kind of the costing associated with it, I want to preface with one of our goals, and I think I talked about this a little bit yesterday, is a couple of proposals. What we try to do is match proposals together with some form of equity. They don't have to be identical, but that kind of lift everybody in the organization, or at least the majority of people in the organization up equivalently. And so we made an adjustment to this one, trying to kind of stay within the spirit of that. I did introduce a new color. You will see it's highlighted, and that's just to highlight the change from the other proposal, but it's back to, which is why I highlighted it and didn't strike it. It's back to original language of 2 hours and 4 hours per day. Therefore, the only change really goes to asking it to be an overtime rate instead of being paid at straight time. So I would assume there's, either a new costing the city could look at. I don't know that we specifically need to cost it out. I think after our conversation yesterday, everybody was kind of on the same page with what that looked like. So that is our new proposal for call and standby. Any questions on it?
The only thing I would mention is we did talk a little bit after we left about some of the discrepancy. And one thing we notated was the fringe components. So it's probably about 20%. So based on that other poll, I think we were like 360 costs. It's
Okay.
probably more like 330. And the reason being is that when we count it, we use the fringe rates, which is appropriate for total cost.
Sure, right.
But in order to do that, when you're talking that 20%,
Yeah,
that 20% lives in the FICA line, lives in the
Mhm.
Percy line,
Right.
doesn't all live in the fire standby pay budget.
Right.
So long story short, the 360 that we were saying
Mhm.
was probably more like 330.
Yeah, perfect.
We
I
found
think
our
that-
math
I
there.
think that brings our gap, because there was an assumption that I used of the $90 rate, which was different than I think the actual rate. And then that really brings us to where we were pretty much spot on
Yeah.
there. Perfect.
Yeah.
There was a light bulb moment afterwards. It's like,
Yeah.
180, 150.
So it was about 30K
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. Yeah. That helps, because that makes up about 10% of the 30% that we were off. So
Yeah.
perfect. All right. Well, yeah, so there's that proposal. So we've made an adjustment. That will be our current and live acting proposals. Standby.
And just to make sure I understand it, so you're also introducing, so right now we don't have we just basically pay them a rate and they can't get comp time for the standby. Right?
No, I believe the comp time standby was added in the last negotiation session.
I know we did it for payouts for hours paid. Did we do it for standby time as well? I can look, let me look at, I got the contract here, so.
Spiral bound.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh.
Like I said, I don't think it matters from the purpose of the discussion and the proposal. I just wanted to make sure I understand. Oh, no, we did add comp time last time. So yeah. Okay, cool.
Look up right there.
So really, this is
Points for
my,
speed on that.
I think we
My
can get a
bad.
point for that.
Yeah. In cahoots.
Okay. Yeah, I'll my only question is, so do we need to, is there any, if we say this is fine, do we need to do any additional tweaks on to call out that comp time would be at time and a half, not 1-for-1, right? Because it was the comp time with the previous proposal was at the standard rate, if you will. So I
Yeah.
think it was straight hours. It wasn't
yeah,
time and a half hours.
yeah,
So we may just, we'll just have to play through that a little bit.
yep.
So we don't need to solve it today.
Yep.
But
Yeah. Cam, will you make a note on the Trello card for that one? Thank you. All right. Let me roll back to. Parental leave. This one. Did you say
You want me to do it? Or
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great if you want to drop it over there.
Get fired. Oh,
You were still typing, Cam.
yeah, I was just covering, yeah.
We were racing in Trello's. We're all doing things and I'm trying to move cards before Cam can get to that. We get a little competitive sometimes over things. It's weird.
You three?
It's weird.
No.
Weird. All right, so the parental leave doc, we kind of did the same thing with this one. We presented the proposal, and our goal was to try to introduce parental leave. We kind of heard some concern for the city. We had the separation basically considering like a person that potentially birthed a baby versus someone that did not. With what we heard back from the city, we made some adjustments to just create parity across the board. And so we now have a parental leave that is just asking for 2 tours of time off for any member of the department that has a child introduced into the home. So either a natural birth child, actually it's pretty much any birth child and or adoption.
Cool.
So 40 hours.
2 tours.
Yeah,
2
and
2 weeks,
we-
40-hour work week.
we should probably at least give you the information to cost out. The
Right.
way we roughly cost this out is we reached out to the healthcare trust.
Perfect.
And we got an average over 10 years. Well, we got a total over 10 years of new births that were brought into the department. Those births were brought in because we're police and fire. They were
okay.
brought in as a total of new births that were brought in and or adoptions that were brought into the healthcare trust. Once somebody was already here. So it was an amendment to their plan.
Yep.
So that
Yeah.
reference, this is
Yep.
new.
A new,
We had 290,
229.
229 over 10 years. So theoretically, what we did is we divided by 10 and then we cut it in half, just saying us and police, you know, a couple of years they had more, a couple of years we had more. Cut it in half and that's how we came up with the number of 10 or was it 11?
11 babies per year.
11 babies per
11
year is our
babies per year.
average.
Okay.
So if you guys want to use that number for costing for what you think, and that's over a 10-year span. So we kind of assumed it felt reasonably long for a time frame to get an average out of, and
Oh, yeah.
it was a struggle for the healthcare trust to get anything beyond that data wise.
So this is more curious than anything. So they weren't able to say like it's heavier on the fire side or heavier on.
Yes,
No.
yes, we just can't divulge
Yeah.
that information. We had some jokes that went along with it,
11
but we're
babies.
being very PC here.
did you see the article on Twin Falls Fire Department?
No.
I will share it.
Okay.
Did they have a series of
I was like,
10 babies all
Kind
at
of
a time?
information sharing?
yeah, I'll send you the link.
Okay.
It was cute. It was a little feature on KTVB and it's a little video and it shows all the,
Well,
let's say their birth rate is way higher than that.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I jokingly sent it and I was like, is this sarcastic? It's a really sweet, I'll send you some videos for,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so the time.
They had a little baby boom over there in Twin Falls.
Yeah.
Because you have to.
And the chief looked a little sweaty.
96.
How many?
That's just a bunch of new recruits.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, thank you for that info. That's super.
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah, you're welcome.
All right. So 96 and 80. Okay. Thank you.
Any questions related to that? Obviously, I didn't go through the whole proposal. It's just our shift in our ask. And again, we heard cities requests and made some adjustments with that. So
That's great. Thank you.
you are welcome. Let's see here. We have, let's move to a quick discussion on some dropped items.
Do you want to do the other counter?
I was gonna do a sandwich.
Oh, okay.
Camp.
A sandwich.
Couple nice fun things in the there, shift a little bit, come back to it.
We were the ones that had to sit here and rattle off a lot of those yesterday. So
Yeah,
we're
you
happy.
had a long
Yeah,
day.
Yeah.
it's the compliment sandwich, right? That's what it is. All right, so number one, and maybe we can use the numbers. We didn't use the numbers in here, but to continue,
I put that in the Trello on the far left one.
if we can pull up the sheet and then maybe you guys can cross
15.
reference.
If you're keeping.
Where's this going?
5 was callback standby. And yeah, 15 was parental leave.
Do you want me to put those numbers in front? So we know, or do we care?
I don't think that would.
I'm fine.
Okay,
I just
yeah,
needed
I
it
was-
for my notes.
Yeah.
No, I was like, that, so like ours had, when I introduced them yesterday, if you noticed, they had the first number
Mhm.
ties to that proposal sheet. So that you can just look and go, and then for the city ones, I had C, or for the city ones, I think we had C.
Okay.
C1.
Yeah. Okay, that works great.
Yeah, I'll do
I think anything we can do to have consistency
Yeah.
between us makes a lot of sense. So the first one that we wanted to talk about is the 401k to HRA VIBA that we had presented. Do you guys know what number that is for reference?
I think that was number 1.
Number one for us?
Yeah.
Awesome. So with the proposal the city brought out, that HRA VIBA proposal kind of had two components to it. Number one was to fix kind of the grievances that we have with the 6.2% going into a 401k and the match. That was kind of goal number one with that proposal. Goal number two was to add flexibility and potentially into the HRA VIBA.
Yeah.
From what it sounds like, that's a very, very difficult process, has a lot of legality around it. With the counter proposal or new proposal from the city, where we would just drop the 1%, that fixes the same way that we wanted to fix for the initial 401k side of it, or the 6.2% side of it. And then the flexibility option, we're just going to focus elsewhere and see if there's another option that may make more sense where we have consistency to be able to get money put into that HRA VIBA. So because of those two reasons, we decided we'll just drop this proposal from the table, focus on your proposal for the 401k fix, and then we'll look at our other proposals for HRA VIBA contributions potentially.
I'm just gonna edit, put numbers in front of that right there.
Perfect. Thanks, Cam.
So we're dropping union number 1 and focusing on, what did we call that one? So that was a counter we presented yesterday.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was our,
Like a pirate.
Pirate. I think we called it a proposal.
Okay,
So it was number 1. So it was a proposal that was deferred comma. So it was 1, and that's what we're talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was just a proposal.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, great.
So just for clarity, you're good with that proposal, the 1%.
Dropping our
Dropping.
proposal, and we are working with your proposal.
Great.
Yes,
Okay.
Thank you.
yes,
This is so exciting. I feel like we're coming down the funnel.
it's happening.
It's happening right now. Okay.
We dropped those 10 new ones. Sorry.
Yep.
Until we got it.
I think it was.
Right. The next one is our number 6 proposal. Thanks, Cam, for putting those numbers in there. And that was our advanced EMT that was just a base into advanced EMT. And again, Our goal here was we wanted to get some, have a proposal that had pay for advanced EMTs. We have the proposal that's the more involved paramedic proposal with advanced EMTs. So we feel let's just get rid of that one. We'll focus on the paramedic proposal. And again, that way our energy is a little more focused on kind of where we are and how we end up.
What was the number of that one?
It was our number 6.
Okay.
All right, the third proposal that we are dropping is the bilingual pay. While we feel there's a value here, there was a lot, I think, more involved in what types of languages, how do we get testing, how do we cost it out? Because it really is more of a liability type cost of what's the potential of how many people could access it versus we're guessing we have less than a handful of people that could even access it. So we feel like the costing is going to be so far off there
Yeah,
that it's
lot
just,
of-
yeah.
a lot of estimating.
Yes, and we feel like, again, there's value. We're just good to talk about it at another time.
Okay.
And kind of bring it back and by another time, another negotiation.
Mhm.
It's like,
And it's a relatively new program for the city. So I think by the next negotiation, we'll also know a lot more about how it's working. And potentially by that point, we would expand languages. So,
Right.
yeah,
I think we could flesh out a better proposal that's more functional too.
mhm,
okay, great.
yeah,
And we do, just to reiterate, we also see value in that
Mhm.
and community benefit in that. So understand why we're dropping it and
Yeah.
happy to pick it back up when the time's right.
yeah. And I do think our conversation that was started over, we have other tools in the city. I think it's really important that we kind of follow up with that.
Yeah.
At the end of negotiations and just kind of get together and go.
Yeah.
All right, let's share some of those across the board and
Great.
utilize the tools that we already have in place.
Completely agree. Yeah, that was, I mean, after our discussion, that was the first discussion I had with Christine and,
Yeah.
and Humble both was just, we need to do a better job of providing our members those resources, I
Yeah.
think.
And I think the tools also are evolving really
Yeah.
quickly, right? So it's also, yeah, that's great. And we're very committed to following through on that.
I'm still waiting for Stacy to give me my translating earbuds.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
All I want for Christmas.
I'm gonna find those. I'm gonna find those.
Do you have ones that like can listen to Shui and just give me a concise, like, it does not.
Fine,
But like concise. Oh.
I don't know.
Priceless.
Yeah.
And the negotiation only took 4 days.
Sorry, Jason.
I'm
Sorry, Jason.
I'm leaving.
Sorry, Jason. Love you.
No, I would want it no other way. Okay. Number 4 is the cell phone reimbursement. Again, a very kind of legal considerations made it a little more convoluted. Costing was huge for kind of the benefit that we feel is out there. And then the benefit really turns into a conversation of individual preference and concern and how they feel about legalities of things. So with that, we are choosing to drop number 17, the cell phone reimbursement. Number 5 for us is our that our number 18, Cam, the EIP, or was that the?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
So our EIP conversation was, and our proposal was really focused on, we have a current benefit, which is if you come into the department with education, there is some incentive to go along with that. We really like that from a kind of recruiting perspective of getting really good people into the organization by seeing the value in secondary education and being able to give some incentive for that secondary education. Again, still like the idea of at some point, some kind of hybrid, but we just want to work through that a little bit more. And again, that costing really became difficult. It becomes, I know we put a cap on a budget, and so we had that for costing, but capping something really changes kind of the cost benefit analysis for us as well. And that was kind of where we went with that. We just said, hey, let's take this off the table. And again, we could bring it back and work on something else.
Yeah, I mean, even if we didn't have a cap, the value is super hard to replace.
Right.
What are your members, how much of your members are gonna use it?
Right.
So if year one, 2 people use it,
Mhm.
it's $5,000.
Right.
Right? But year 3,
Yeah.
290 use it, it's a very,
Right.
the value is very hard to place. You're really placing the value on the output, not the actual dollars.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, number 6 for us was our proposal number 13, and that was the CPI index conversation. Again, for us, that was just a way to kind of broach the subject and explore it, kind of on both sides and see if there was some value in doing that. Again, our goal with that is we really saw CPI of just helping to kind of level the ebbs and flows a little bit. And having a ceiling and a floor helped to just add a little bit of constraint to what our wages and benefits package kind of look like. But again, we weren't set on it. We just wanted to see if the city had considered ever doing anything like that and see where that conversation led. With it also, it's a very convoluted conversation. We just wanted to take it off the table and just go, let's focus elsewhere. And the last one for today that we're going to drop is our number 19, which was a fitness incentive. We did talk about kind of some joint programming with the healthcare trust, which is great concept. The problem is we can't negotiate the healthcare trust if it all stops.
Here, yeah.
So
Yep.
the conversation just has, while it has value, this is just the wrong place for it. I think we need to kick it off to the healthcare trust. And when we open that contract with both police and fire being involved, that we would have to look at that benefit being applied equally to police and fire in order to be able to say, hey, the healthcare trust is going to potentially split some cost here.
Yeah.
So,
I really like the idea though.
Okay.
yes.
And we are open to that, if that's something that if the trust deemed that was something that they wanted to provide their members with the funds they currently have,
Mhm.
we're very open to information sharing and partnering in the meantime
Yeah.
as well. So if there's any collaboration between the trusts, like that's always on the table.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, even if getting Corey to go to one of your board meetings and just presenting what the
Yes.
city
What it
trust
is.
has, so you guys, your whole team can get
Yeah.
awareness to it, and
Yeah.
you guys may go, hey, this is gonna cost us X.
Right.
We want to implement it in 27
Mhm.
or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think there could be value there that Corey's pretty well dialed on that. I think it would be good for your whole board to hear.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, so with that, we just figure we'll kick that over to a different conversation at another time.
Great.
So those were all of our proposals that we wanted to drop or take off of the table for today. And then we'll go back to, are there any questions before we kind of?
One, yes, I do have a follow-up question. My brain was working in the background. So back to the deferred compensation,
Uh-huh.
number 1 and dropping that. Does that mean that you're open to the concept of moving the 1% elsewhere? Should we start doing more thinking on that? Or yesterday we had kind of tossed out there.
Yeah.
What if one of the goals was to get the HRA VIBA more funding, we could potentially drop the required 1% to the 401k considering,
Mhm.
have you thought any more of
It's-
that or?
Yeah, I mean, it's still totally on the table
That's still-
for us to have a conversation.
Okay,
The difference for us is because it's kind of this new scenario and it would really force employees to have to do something different.
different, yeah.
We feel like we at least need to broach the subject with the body and say, hey, you were already contributing
Going
1%
here,
here.
you wanna go
We
there?
think it would be a great idea to have that 1% go directly into your HRA Viva, but it would be theoretically them placing their money there, not the city placing money there.
Right,
So because of that, we want to make sure that we have that conversation
Great.
with the body, because that could go a lot of different ways where people go, well, no, I don't want to put my
I don't
money
wanna
there.
do
I
that.
wanted my money here, and we went a completely different route, and it could really kind of stall out
Mhm.
conversation of what we're trying to do where there's
great. So action item rests with you all, nothing more needed from us
correct
on that.
at this point. Yes,
Great,
at this
okay.
point. Nothing
Thank
else
you.
needed. Yeah.
Yeah, the only other thing I'd add there, just for color, when you're talking with the members, if that feels too much to some members, the option does exist that we could do a flat rate too. We could
Sure.
say $50 a month or whatever, right? And that may be more palatable because they can actually.
Just has to be everybody.
Correct.
Yes.
Right,
Everyone's
at
on
1%, it's
1%.
$50 a month for every member or whatever. So there could be a happy middle ground where members go, yeah, I'm comfortable doing $50 a month. I'm not comfortable doing 1% of my
Yeah.
salary. Or
The struggle with that, and I feel is that the demographically, you're gonna get those that would want to jump on it and those that it's just not important to them.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Membership, so hard. So.
This was a big conversation that happened 15 years ago when we initially were pulling out of Social Security and making an adjustment. Boy, it was, and I wasn't here, I was in Caldwell, but same conversations were happening everywhere, and same scenario was a lot of people said, no, I don't want to do that. And it was a rough time to get through that process. It was a full negotiation time span on its own on one issue.
Well, it's so, I think we've found ourselves a little frustrated. Those different retirement vehicles just have so many rules and restrictions. And so that this is not us trying to say no. It's just like, holy moly, you know, like this one can do this one thing, but not this other thing. And this can do this thing and that thing, but not the thing you want to do. And this one's restricted. So I would say I have learned a ton about all of those different things. And I wish it was a little more straightforward because it is kind of brain bending.
Yeah.
The different rules and regulations and
We had a similar conversation last negotiation over Merck, where we put in a proposal to start a Merck program, which is a medical expense reimbursement plan. One that's out of Washington that most firefighters in Washington and a lot in the Northwest are in it. And it was the same. It's got almost the same regulations as HRA Vivas because it's a post-retirement healthcare system. And trying to work through all of that in the middle of a negotiation with all the rules was difficult as well.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, it's like you need a lawyer and a CPA and right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, what
What's the
can
law?
we do?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
I do think with our existing Viva setup, I think it offers a lot of the same benefits as the Merck. It
Mhm.
does take a considerable chunk of that confusion off the plate, right? Because we're already dealing with
Right.
Viva.
Right.
So I appreciate your reconsideration of the MERP and kind of shifting over and saying, hey, we should focus on the Viva because it's already an established plan.
Mhm.
That I can say from my side, that helps a lot. To align with existing programs as much as we can. Okay, so.
All right, we are then moving. Cam, will you drop the hazmat?
Yep. This one's in the counter proposal folder for today. For you. And
Cam, would you like to?
yeah, all that one is, chief, is
Yep.
we've taken. I just took your language. Everything looks good with that.
Cool.
The one item we removed and it's for discussion, but in case we decide with it, then the proposal's already written. Is when it talks about the chief or designee for their authority, trying to think about how we operate now
Mhm.
and don't believe we have that in place. And I checked the military's contract with us too to say, what do they have? And it's not clear if the department turns it down, say if there's big major events going on in the city. If there's a refusal, sounds like the military commander, they need an explanation of why that occurred. And with the state and the legislative appropriations going through, the millions are pumping into us, our new equipment they're getting and the training they provide for us to go places. Their expectations when they call, we go.
Yep.
When they say, hey, they're requesting you, Region 4, you're out. And we're like, okay, here we go. So that was the part that's like, I feel like that language should be removed just because we don't operate that way. We don't, the BC doesn't say you guys are good to go. It's when we're on that bridge call and
Yep.
they respond and we go, okay, because we also have a time commitment to hit.
Yeah.
So once that request there's a certain expectation that we at least have 2 on the road, get into that incident with the rest of the team. If we need to round up, pick people up from the houses and go. And that's really, well, I don't think that language fits there to see that there's a chief approval on that one, but maybe it does. Maybe we're-
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yep.
And let me crunch through it a little bit more in my mind, because I guess the reality would be is whether it's written here or it's just in practice, right? We have the
Yeah.
ability to turn down a mutual aid request at any point in time, right? And I know this is not a mutual aid
Mhm.
request.
Yeah.
But whether it's in all that, I don't want to say all that contract does, but contract is really, this provision is really about compensation. It's not really about a response model.
Good one.
So.
Yeah.
We could still say you're not going.
Yeah.
Outside of, the contract doesn't require us to say we're deploying the resources. The contract says if we deploy you and it's authorized by the state, we're paying you a certain rate.
Here's where this fund, yeah.
So I think we still have the ability potentially, let me just think through it.
Yeah. And I tried to look through that.
Yeah.
DL agreement. It's like,
Yeah, I don't think it hurts to have it in there, but at the same point in time, on the surface, it potentially wouldn't hurt to not have it in there either.
Okay.
So yeah, let me think through it, see, and
other than that, language is intent, ties it to that state statute. Yeah.
we try to just clean it up, make it as clear as humanly possible. So appreciate that.
No further on that one. That's all that one was. Number 3 on the list, by the way. Yeah. But
We have some questions that we wanted to talk about the career development proposal in relation to the Captain 2 and Captain 3 and just seeing kind of what that looks like, or if we had any progress on what we're thinking for that.
Sorry, which one?
Sorry, my bad. That's the career development proposal.
Correct, okay.
Yeah,
got it.
and it's more, we didn't drop it yet because it's more of just a
Yeah.
further details
Yep.
as we go through and try to discuss these with our membership.
Yep.
Trying to kind of line out what does that look like. So
There.
we were just trying to.
So we're talking framework now, back to framework, not dollars and cents.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Right. Yes. Back to framework. So the 2 pieces, it was Captain 3.
Yep.
And task books, oriented with Captain 3 and Captain 2.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think the way the proposal's currently written, and this is why I said, I know you guys had some discussion. So this is great conversation because I apologize, I missed that day. So if we need to, the intention was to follow kind of the spirit of what we talked about
Mhm.
with, Captain 2 was basically going through the BC Academy, if you will, doing the BC task book. Captain 3 would be 2 paths. They could continue to, basically they could get on the promotional list, work out of class. So we were trying to limit how many people
Right.
worked out of class at BC. We didn't talk about specifics, as I understand it with you guys, of how we would make that control.
Yeah.
So I said, that's probably the easiest is, let's just say the people who go through the promotional process and get put on the list,
Mhm.
those are probably the ones that are most serious about working out of class.
Yeah.
But in order to maintain the ability for other people to move to Captain 3, it's that we just don't have a title for it, whatever you want to call it, the Boise Fire Department Executive Officer Development Program or something like that. And that framework we don't have built yet, but that was the discussion around experience with budget, experience with all different things, kind of as Chief Hummel alluded to, kind of like in the Navy, where you go to learn about propulsion, you learn about missiles, you learn about how to firefighting, you learn about the bridge. So it's more of a overall departmental awareness training that would have a bunch of different components. It would be a similar, probably task book kind of thing where you go and get stuff signed off. So that's how that is intended to be written with those two.
Yes, so we're trying to get a little further down that road of what does that task book look like? Kind of in a some idea of, is it all done internally? Is it done internally and externally through a task book? And then what is the availability, if you will, of some of those things? Those are big questions that we're getting and needing to field. And it all comes back to step raise in general and how convoluted and difficult, and when we attach classes and certain things and then the availability isn't actually there, that's not really a reasonable process to have. Like, yes, you have to take these 3 classes that are in your task book, and then we go, well, those 3 classes are offered once every 2 years somewhere else. So
I know Chief Hummel and I have talked about some framework and proposal. It's very draft at this point in time, but at least initially what we were talking about is not necessarily like, hey, go take, single resource boss 1 or, crew boss class or something like that. It is a lot more experiential and internal kind of exposure, shadow the fire chief to a council meeting, so we haven't talked about like formalized classes per se. So it's probably, most of them are more time, right? It's go work with Bisagno and attend a pre-app meeting or what, things like that. So it's really, I think it would be available 100% of the time. It's just dependent upon the captain making those contacts, setting up an appointment and going. We talked about things like I guess there is some exposure, like, like that budget training that I was sharing with you guys that the state offers once a year. It's recorded. So, I mean, in theory, you could probably get the same benefit from watching a recording, but also potentially attending that training. So it's not a course that you have to check, but it would probably be more like get exposure to budget and you'd say, okay, yeah, that checks the box. So I can work on that a little bit more. I think at least getting you kind of a framework for topics, I think makes complete sense. We're just not quite there yet.
And for us, even less about topics and more about, we would be able to do these things kind of internally on your own time frame. Or, the availability is the big concern. Right.
The way that we've talked about it is it should be available 95% of the time, right? It's not that one-off that's that budget class might be offered, but I don't think it would be like, I don't think the intention is to write in there budget class offered by the state of Idaho Tax Commission. It would be gain exposure to the state process for levy creation and blah, blah, blah. And you may be able to get that. You can go talk with Kelsey and probably check that box, right? Or you can attend the training. So I think everything we've talked about really is more about interacting with leadership, learning about the different areas. So it's really kind of similar. We have some of those check boxes in the existing task books, right? Hey, go talk with an inspector about fire investigations. So it'd be kind of that train of thought. So it's like you call Chief Bisagno and say, hey, I'm working on this task book. Can I attend a pre-app meeting and learn about the city development process? Okay, cool. Next Thursday.
So one thing, I think that's all perfect. I just want to make sure that we have and are working towards getting some of that done.
Documented.
Yes, because it's going to be really tough for us to make this kind of
100%
shift of everything kind of coming together without having some kind of concrete say, this is really close to what the program looks like. We're going to at least follow a framework of
Yes.
what this looks like.
Yes.
But that's going to be kind of a crux for us.
We were working on Thursday
Okay.
before I left.
Oh,
So literally, we recognize that as well. Chief Hummel's been working on that. We were,
Yeah.
I was there till 6 o'clock with him working on it. So we recognize that we need to clean that up. We don't maybe have to have it signed in blood, but we sure need a better framework for you guys to be successful in heck, even just in question, right?
We identified a potential issue too. So it sounds like you guys want to go just basically captain, 40-hour training. And I'm assuming you got some sort of task book for like logistics and them, right?
Yeah, so we have a task book that Chief Bisagno has worked on. Kircher and Kerpak are both kind of building that out right now for those two programs. So
Okay, awesome.
yeah, we have.
We had this hypothetical come up like, okay, so let's say you're a driver or maybe a captain.
Mhm.
You go into a 40-hour work week position and whether in training, you get your captain 3 in training.
Mhm.
What happens when you go back to the line as a captain? Or vice versa, say I'm a captain 3 on the field. Now I go to training, do I start back at captain 1 40-hour? Or does that make sense? Or can you clarify?
It makes
Training
sense. Yeah.
would work if you wanted to go back and up the
Are
other
they
way.
their own separate tiers or do those cross over in any capacity?
Yeah, one thing we talked about original, which then we come look at is like, oh wait, I don't know how that logistically works.
Yeah.
Is to cover that when you come back in the line, it was under the operational relevance banner. So we use a driver position. You go in from a driver, you take a training captain's position, you come in on the line, and part of your career development under here is now you're working to that next position. So just like you're a driver in the field, you'd work on your task book and officer development academy, doing that instead of training. And then when you get that, you'd be a driver 2 or a senior firefighter 2. And then if you got your swing up, then you'd be a day crew captain 3. And also when you hit back on the line, you'd be like a senior firefighter 3 because that correlates over. However, one of the things are like, how would that truly work? If you're a training captain right now, to go in, you would be to attend Officers Development Academy right now. That's a 3-week academy, Monday through Friday type of deal. So you're going to have to be off of your role for 3 weeks in totality to take that ODA. And then part of your task book is getting your swing up shifts. Well, how do you get your swing up shifts when you're a day crew? Does that include, so your 5 24-hour shifts? Does that include breaking up? Now you're working 10, 12-hour days. Are you jumping out on the weekends? In theory, a training captain can work overtime on the line and jump in.
Sure.
How many training captains, after getting beat up on the line behind them projects, go and work at the overtime? It's not really a thing. So then you'd have to be working overtime and say, hey, can I jump in and play captain for you while I do that? Which a lot of the membership, I'm sure, would be fine with. But to try to make that accomplished and then come back in will be quite a challenge. So we're like logistically, and who supports that captain if they are out? Now we got a training captain out maybe a month. Who supports that? So we're like, ooh, that model. It sounded good when we talked about it, and now we're looking like actual implementation may be more of a challenge to it. So is there a different thing where we look at more of this day crew captain? Well, what's their role? What's relevant? Well, they're training folks. So do we build a curriculum around being a good instructor, being a good cadre, which when you come back out of line in a leadership position and you're training your recruits coming through or probationary firefighters come through your station, your own crews, that's going to benefit in that way as well. But then it jumps back to that scenario too of, okay, we go for that. Now it's not that operational relevance track in terms of the next position. You come back and what's that look like? So those are some items we're discussing. Like, ooh, we have some areas to work through here still on that position.
And small percentage of it.
I was gonna say, this is interesting. It's bringing to mind for me, the leadership development program that Carrie and team are launching. This sounds similar to me, so
Oh.
there's a little bit of a squirrel, but I'm connecting dots in my head here. So HR has developed and is implementing a leadership development program, and it really doesn't matter if you work in the library or in finance or what, like there are core leadership skills we think folks need to have if they're going to be in a supervisory manager types of position. So I'm thinking like I could imagine Romeo and Chief Hummel are now gonna have a heart attack and kill me as I'm curriculum designing on the spot here, but I could imagine like we would want folks at a captain level, like there would be some core competencies. Like at that point, probably everyone should know some budget stuff. And so, right, so I could imagine there being some like core leadership competencies, but then role dependent competencies. So I don't know if y'all have thought about that, but that's where my head was going. So I was thinking about as we were designing that for citywide, right, general employees, it's like, well, there's specific to your role things you need to know or department or division, but there are also like general things that as a leader in this organization, these are base skill sets. So I don't know, throwing that out there for.
No, I think the simple answer is yes. The harder answer is we probably haven't crosswalked all of those captain task books to say, here's core competency for a 40-hour captain, here's core competencies for a training captain, here's core, and then here's specialty competencies for each of those captain levels. We haven't gotten that technically advanced. I would say conceptually, we agree with that concept, right? That a captain needs some base level of budget, whether you're in logistics, prevention, or on the line, right? You need some base level of budget. A logistics captain, though, probably needs a lot more purchasing budget than
Right.
a ops captain. Because they are actually they have a P card, they're buying stuff, they need to know all the P card. So like that's an expansion. So I think, yes, I think with the two discussions there, I would say there's two components. Is one is the way it's written right now, right? Is we built the training captain to basically follow the ops captain role. So in essence, they're a little bit different. They're a 40-hour. They're different than the other 40-hour captains, which basically say, hey, if you're a 40-hour in wildfire, logistics, or prevention, you're going to have your own task book specialized to those roles for Captain 2 and Captain 3. Training basically says, hey, follow the ops captain role or whatever position you came from. So if you came from a senior firefighter, you would actually progress through the senior firefighter 2 and senior firefighter 3 program because that's the position you would return to unless you tested for captain ops, right? So you would return back to senior firefighter, whatever step you were. So that's how it was built right now. I would tend to say if a prevention captain got to captain 3 in prevention and then returned to their role in operations, probably should return them to whatever step they were in their role when they left. So if they were a senior firefighter 2 and promoted to a prevention captain, progressed through the prevention captain curriculum to captain 3, and then said, yeah, I want to return back to the line and go back to senior firefighter. If they were a senior firefighter 2, we should probably put them back at senior firefighter 2 when they return, and then allow them to progress through the senior firefighter curriculum. That would be probably my preference, just from the standpoint of, I think they're different enough that if we're really trying to build.
If you're specializing it, like you're saying, then
Yeah.
that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, now that's gonna have to be a personal decision. We don't have a ton of people go from prevention or logistics or wildfire back to ops, or we have it. Doesn't mean we won't. Training is a little more fluid, right? So that's why I do think there is some logic saying, hey, keep progressing through your operational. We would have to check the boxes and make sure that the BCs are comfortable, the training chief is comfortable. At least conceptually, when Chief Lewis was working on it with you guys, he seemed to be comfortable with that framework to say, hey, we'll support the training captains if they need to take 3 weeks and go through the training, the Officer Development Academy or whatever. We would support that. So
Chief, would there be a benefit to putting together like a 3-hour working group session work through some of the details on the career development.
I would love it because I don't want to say I'm over my skis, but I'm definitely clipped into my skis. And
Yeah.
While I certainly have experience negotiating it before, yeah, having Chief Zimmerly and Chief Lewis and even Chief Bolin involved with that discussion from our side would be ideal, I think, to nail down some of this final framework. I think you guys did yeoman's work and got 95% there, but yeah, there's just a few details that
Yeah.
feel outstanding that it would be good to do. So yes is the simple answer, I think, from my side. I don't,
Yeah, as we go through it, here's my concern is that we keep trying to work through it here and it loses steam and we keep poking holes in it. And it's, we're poking holes in it because that's the right thing to do. We want to make sure that the program is going to be successful. So I want us to poke holes in it, but I feel like a working group to try to kind of push this over the finish line per se would be very beneficial for us. And it's separate conversation on the wages. We don't need to negotiate anything, right? We don't need to do it in this room. But I do think we need to do it during this process, theoretically. So at some point, I would be very open to us trying to put together a working group to again try to process through that prior to putting much more effort into that part of the discussion. Here, I think our part of the discussion in this room is more money oriented and how and where, which I think is just time better spent. But we have to, again, make sure that we're on board with that other side of it to make it make sense to continue putting the energy and effort into it. And I don't want to see it drop like last time.
I think that's fine. Like say in my mind, I think that framework discussion, I don't want to say it's not necessarily directly a subject negotiations, probably not directly a subject.
Right. Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Right? It's really a department driven, or I shouldn't say driven, led, I'll call it, right? Framework. And obviously we want support from the membership, but it's really a department led. Here's what we want to do. Here's how we want to do it.
Yeah.
You guys go, yeah, I can support that. I can at least tell our members what the department's gonna do, right?
Yeah.
So I would support that. Christine, I guess I would ask, and maybe we don't need to solve this right now. We can come back after caucus and just verify, but I would almost say that's probably maybe us, the working groups outside of the negotiations, if you will. We can clear up some of that framework. We'll bring it back in here because we have to include the language in the appendix A. But we could set that up offline, not tied to negotiations, because the exact content is really more of a management, right? But we want to work collaboratively.
Yes.
You know what's gonna happen, we're gonna bring it up at a union meeting and.
You guys have to
realize we're there, someone's gonna.
You guys have to have the information of whatever is decided.
Provide certainty and comfort.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Would it be appropriate for me just to sit in and listen?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm just saying I
Yeah,
just
I'm
want,
just wondering if there's some leveraging of some of.
Just because as we develop the leadership program for the city.
Yeah.
It's nice to understand what the similarities are
Yeah.
and what are perhaps innovative and creative methodology that you might be using that we then could say, why wouldn't we use that? Or why wouldn't we offer this? So, okay, great, thank you.
I'm open to wholeheartedly anybody.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
let me work with Chief Hummel on break and see. I don't know what Lewis is. I think Lewis is out this week.
Yeah.
If I remember correct.
Oh,
We're gonna
summer,
figure out.
So
You say you're gone next week, Chief?
summer and your vacay.
no,
Well,
I'm
mostly
here
early.
till I'm back Wednesday. I'm out Monday, Tuesday, but
He tends not to work at all during. his-
honestly, Ryan, I don't want to say I'm not important to answer the question because I'd like to be there if I can, but if I'm the holdout, I think you guys could work with that. With Timberly, Lewis and Bolin. And if they come up with they have to implement it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't. they're the ones who are gonna have to work with your members to make sure it gets implemented and done. So if they're comfortable with it and it checks the boxes for them and you guys,
I was just
I'm good with it.
brainstorming. So we got 3 days for negotiation next week, I'm assuming.
I'm guessing we're not gonna be able
Yeah.
to use all.
Maybe there's one of those days we can, yeah.
Yep.
Especially 3 in a row.
Yeah.
That gets
No, I
really,
would agree.
Yeah.
really tight.
So yeah, let me sidebar when we caucus and I'll try to reach out to that group and see what their schedules look like next week. And if we can block out a couple, 3 hours,
Yeah.
I think we could, in my mind, I guess it may be good just to set some goals for that. And we don't, once again, we don't need to do that now, but having some clear goals so that we don't get too far in the weeds and sidetrack and say, hey, look, we want to solve the captain task book. We want to solve the, whatever it is. I don't,
Yeah, the back and forth movement.
yeah. Like I said, I think there's 2 or 3 things that are probably pertinent that, 40-hour versus ops. How do we deal with the training captain? Probably 2, and then maybe let's call it the Boise Fire Executive Officer Development Program.
Yeah, that's good.
Right, those are
Well-
probably the 3 items that are
Say it again.
Boise Fire Executive Officer
Oh,
Development
okay.
Program.
Boise.
The FIAD.
Boise Fire Officer Development Program.
Executive.
Exactly.
Deal.
Makes it sound really nice.
EXO, right? Isn't that like a Navy term? Like the EXO, isn't that?
You could
like
just-
EXO?
NFA, National Fire Academy, as the executive
Yeah.
officer.
Yeah, I was just thinking like likening
Navy
back to like the Navy program,
Yes.
was it Ewoks or something?
I don't know why I think I'm funny. I'm not.
I think it is. It's like executive.
She's cracking herself
I'm
up.
over here amusing myself while the rest of you are actually
That's just
doing
it came out that one.
Yeah, I would totally put her in the working
Yeah.
group. That would go well. Good luck.
Well, what that,
Point laugh.
what that working group needs every time is someone to herd the cats. Someone to just go, focus, people, focus.
And maybe if Kelsey's available, Kelsey's very good at
Yep.
that. If we gave her 3 goals.
Just here going,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
Yeah, she is very good at her. And we
Yeah.
probably need that to be
Yeah.
perfectly.
Probably.
Oh, schedule's
I
busy.
use Kelsey whenever I can.
Yeah.
Kelsey, I got a big old wild one.
Yeah,
Come
not that I want to volunteer her, but like I say, so let me work with Chief offline and then we'll wrap back around and see what next week looks like. I guess from the standpoint of, we have those 3 days reserved next week. I'm assuming your schedules would be available any of those 3 days to make that.
Yes, and maybe
Okay.
we work through prior to a caucus or prior to lunch, what we
Yes,
think
yeah.
our schedule here
Great.
looks like, and maybe we see what that opening is. So we'll make sure to come back to.
Except for
No.
Mr. disagrees. Nope.
to-
Oh,
I don't know if you guys needed time to present anything or we just want to go over schedule now. You guys gonna plan on bringing anything?
we had 2 costing follow-ups from yesterday. One was on number 2. Hold on.
I think it was the special teams one and.
Oh, yeah, the special teams pay. So the difference between the 5%,
Number
6%, 7%.
Yes,
We have that ready to present. And then we can also provide a point in time snapshot on your number 6, which was that AEMT, the captain differential. Or I'm sorry, I guess it was our AEMT, but the
At the
differential
savings.
between the savings. So we do have those 2 items ready.
We're still
What-
working on special teams.
Oh.
Because Kira literally was running that this morning and my assumption is it's probably not quite done yet.
Well,
Cause she was having to run the,
right back.
so maybe she's probably close, I would imagine, because I know she started on it yesterday afternoon, but.
Let me phone a friend. Affirmed. Okay, I take that back. We're not quite ready with special teams.
Okay.
Just in, no.
Just, oh. We will have those ready today for sure, but I think those were the 2 items that were on our follow-up list. So yes, happy to go wherever you would like to go, except for specialty teams, which is not here.
we can go to scheduling, if that works, and then maybe take a caucus. We have two other proposals, counters and or re-proposals that we're pretty close on. That were just kind of same thing. We're waiting on a tiny bit of information. So maybe let's work through the scheduling.
Okay, great.
Take a caucus. We'll try to see what we each need, and maybe we can get costing done on your side, and then get a couple of our other proposals ready to present. So we have, HUD, do you have the scheduling?
For next week.
We got a whole lot of time held.
We got, next week, we have 30th, 1st and 2nd.
Okay, and then this is our last day this week, correct?
Correct. And then I have the following week after that, the 6th and 7th. Looks like we're held.
Perfect. Okay, so,
I know. The governor was trying to give us extra days off that would have blown up our negotiation schedule.
for a holiday, a new
He,
holiday.
he did an executive order for the state for the July 2nd and July 6th. And so we were kind of contemplating.
State employees are getting a big old, how many days is that? That's a long, long weekend.
Yeah,
5-day weekend.
5-day weekend. Yeah, must be nice to be.
I mean,
state
even if he doesn't authorize it, and we just like authorize it in the contract.
No one
ourselves?
was pushing harder than President.
Christine's like, Stacy,
I was like, how do
let's
we make this happen?
I'm like, I realize we have critical services about half of our employees.
We can't really,
Doesn't really work that well
Yeah.
for us.
we're canceling the 4th of July, so everyone can have days off. That's not how it works.
So I think the 30th is a definitive day to hold.
Keep
To
the
continue,
30th.
because I feel like you get through a weekend that gives us a good solid 4 or 5 days to kind of process through, be able to get some work done, kind of on each respective side, and come back on the 30th. So I would say we hold the 30th. And then the 1st and the 2nd, I'm open to.
Could we possibly move the 30th to the 1st? The only reason, because I'm gonna be gone the 30th. I won't be back. I'm coming back on the 30th.
We would.
So it's
Summer
not
Romeo.
critical, but if we could do the 1st instead of the 30th, that would be better. And maybe we even, unless we wanted, like, I just asked Humble to check, maybe the 30th could be that group potentially.
Okay.
So let's just,
Yeah.
just let,
If, yeah,
I
obviously,
We could still do that.
yeah, I would be good with potentially doing working group on that day, and then looking at the first for
Okay.
negotiation.
Okay.
that would be awesome.
So let's keep the
7-1.
30th and 1st. And then I would propose that we just continue with that Thursday, the 2nd, as a hold. And just kind of see where we get to on that first day. I think as we start going through this and progressing, there's gonna be some kind of packaging numbers, and then there's gonna be time that's needed to kind of recalculate, relook at, have other discussions. So at this juncture, I would say yes, hold 30th first, for sure. Use one of those as a working group
Yep.
day, and then keep the 2nd on the books, but have a consideration of dropping the 2nd.
You're saying a consideration on the 30th or the 1st for dropping some, that first day? Saying like the 30th, keep in touch, figure out if we're gonna need that 2nd, or on the 1st.
It's dependent on if we use the 30th as our working day.
Okay.
Then we have to use the 1st as a negotiation day.
Yep.
If we use the 30th as a negotiation day, then that will really probably dictate what the working day looks like on the 1st.
Okay.
But let's use that as our tentative. We will caucus, and then we'll come back and kind of discuss finalizing what we think for the 30th and the 1st. All right.
Might I also raise It seems unlikely that we would get a lot of work done over the weekend. So looking at the 6th, would that be a potential work day?
That's what you're saying.
You know what I
I-
mean? Is it like we're like bookending
Yes,
the holiday
yes,
weekend?
yeah.
I would have a hard
I think
time,
it's fair.
like wherever we land on Thursday is probably where we land
Yes,
Till Tuesday.
until Tuesday. Yeah, I just would have a hard time imagining that we're all
Yes,
very
working
good
over the 4th of July weekend, ready to return.
So you're proposing a 6 work session? For
individual.
Yeah, individual work
session.
day.
Okay.
Is that fair?
I think that's a very reasonable and
Okay.
smart thought process of, yes, I know what the 4th of July
You
should.
know, Christine's gonna be
should
partying,
look like.
clearly.
I mean,
I'm gonna put my priority on potato salad and barbecuing, but
so 6 individual negotiation workday,
then definitely plan to be back at the table. on
definitely the
7th.
7th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
7th is a definite yes, and then let's see here.
oh, then we don't have anything the week of the
I have
13th.
I'm trying to
think
find
we're all
it.
gone.
There were some other ones that were.
I think the week of the 13th,
For
everybody.
whatever reason, every
Yeah,
calendars.
I was gone 2 of those days, so.
Okay,
Official, but on the, I can't find the official.
So I think that's why.
So I think we have nothing scheduled
I don't think we
outside
have,
the week of the 5th.
yeah, I don't think we're scheduled beyond the 7th.
Okay.
Was that our self-imposed deadline, y'all?
That is.
We're gonna wrap this
You know,
movie up on the
I think
7th.
July, if I remember right, July was pretty rough for scheduling.
Yeah.
But I'll get in touch with Tammy, see if we can figure that out,
Okay,
if we need them.
I mean, I kind of like a little
Yeah.
pressure
Magic fire,
and self-imposed
Yeah.
due date.
All right, so we'll be done on the 1st, looks like. Cool. I'm done.
I mean, if we got it done,
You know, there's
we could
Our
then have
miracle
a
worker over there.
celebration. Have a
there's
celebration at 5 o'clock on the 7th.
there is potential.
There's potential. All right, getting ahead of myself. It's not even the 4th of July yet.
Right.
Be a light celebration.
Okay, with that, I would propose a caucus. Want to shoot for 45-minute caucus and then we'll touch base and kind of see with your costing and our other proposals, kind of where we are in 45. So that would put us, let's just call it 10:30.
10:30.
Come back.
I'm gonna be back at 10:29.
We'll see about that.
Now.
Yes,
We have
yes, you
waffles.
made us lose
We'll
this.
see about
I was disappointed this morning. Waffles. Where are you? Waffles lost us a point this morning.
I,
But she
not that I
was
was
happy.
disappointed to see Cam this morning, but I was very disappointed to see Cam.
I heard like from the halls.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Last Pilates wasn't that.
I know.
Are you
I took
okay?
I took the whole.
I was saying last.
yesterday.
Do they need
Oh.
points or if it-
Last to plug in.
Negative half a point. All right. Well, thank you for a good morning. Wanted to start out by just really appreciating 2 things. One, all of the thoughtful proposals that were brought forward. It was obvious that you all had worked very closely with your membership, a lot of really well-considered proposals. And then also very much appreciate helping us narrow focus and getting through kind of some prioritization this morning, because I think that will really help us continue the momentum we've got. We heard you loud and clear on the tuition reimbursement and the value that you all place on that. So we would like to drop our counter proposal on that.
Mhm.
Probably obvious, but just wanted to state that because it feels like we are in agreement and have what we need there.
Yeah.
So we're happy to pull that one off the list. We also forgot one yesterday. When we just had two folks at the table for our ground rules, we agreed not to do any tentative agreements until the whole pack was back. So wanted to share back one that you all said, you were ready to TA, which was, Article 3, Section E and Section K, callback standby.
Yep.
If you're still amenable to that, we did print.
Absolutely are in our column ready to TA.
And I even put a plaque on for you.
Look at that. Romeo got us fancied up. I said I did get
Once.
made fun of the last time.
Feels so much better.
Doesn't it feel good to just have one more TA? Tammy, could we get a copy of that? And we also,
Wait 1 second.
oh yeah, we may have one more, maybe. Great discussion this morning on the hazmat, hazmat response, and I'm not following my own. I think that was union proposal number 3. Romeo has one more language cleanup to share and talk through that may be TA-able. So I also have that one printed, but let's talk through it.
So totally appreciate the discussion this morning and agree with the concept. I think we're all in agreement with the concept of authorized, right? Requires state approval, requires department approval. So I would propose we just strike that whole sentence that says authorized means this, because we don't really need it. So that's what this TA does. I'm happy to drop that out there again. But basically it's what, instead of just striking the last part, which says chief, it just strikes the entire sentence, which removes the state, because we already have it authorized in the first sentence,
Right.
which requires the state to authorize it and the department. So it doesn't make sense that we even need it.
Yep.
Like I said, I think we've got pretty clear already that if we had a big fire on the front and we couldn't send the resources.
Right.
The department could say, no, it's not that's just an operational directive. If, if we, whatever, we turn down a hoist mission, whatever, we turn down a mutual aid request, those are all department driven, operational, not really contractual components. So I just struck the whole sentence and said, here's what it is. So I'll drop it out there, but that's exactly what that says, is that sentence that you struck the second half. I just struck the whole sentence. So if you guys are good with that language, I printed it. I took the liberty to say, hey, let's roll with it.
So is that a city countering ourselves? We're back in this odd situation.
So
City proposal?
I would say technically it is a counter proposal, because we're just withdrawing our original counter and replacing it,
Okay,
because it was their proposal.
Yeah.
We're withdrawing our counter
New
and we're replacing with a new counter. Yeah. So this one just has the kind of in line with what we talked about. It's got a 6/24 date on the end of it. So that we know this was a 6/24. Counter city. Here, I just copied it, sorry. I was talking and not. So,
that was not Shuey short, for the record.
That wasn't. I do so much better than.
so it's exactly the same language with just that one sentence removed.
Okay.
Got
Mm-hmm.
Looks good to me.
Yeah. Agreed.
Sweet.
Sometimes less is more.
That's kind of where we got to.
Yeah,
We
like,
went back and talked about it. I'm like,
this.
we're,
Yeah. It happens. We've got one that's more is more, and then another one that's less is more, and yeah, on a few rounds, so we understand it wholeheartedly. So we can at this point either roll into separation. No, I think it's still hanging out there. I've got it in the column. And we can look at doing it. I mean, if we're doing some TAs, we could just knock them all out. So we have,
Ooh,
let's make sure it's the right one. The separation pay timing, which was number 11
Of the cities.
of the cities.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry. And this was the one that,
oh, the 48 day if requested,
yes, the
or
48
48
hours.
hours,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
days, geez,
Um,
hours.
So basically, regular bi-weekly check, and Shrek or within 10 days, whichever is sooner. So yes, it is bi-weekly paycheck, or if the member gives request 48 hours, which is still, so we are good with that. If you'd like to send that to Tammy or even to Chief to put a signing block on.
Yep, let me work on it.
Perfect.
Ooh, look at us go.
That over. All right.
That one's for Sheena. We should just say on the record. Sheena thanks you.
You're welcome, Sheena. Glad we could help. So, two we have ready to present. And real quick before I do that, unless you want to go with the costing first, we kind of have, I think, before lunch to try to knock out two proposals from us to discuss their counter proposals / re-proposals. I think we got the costing from you on specialty team and one other standby. And then potentially a scheduling for a couple more extended days out so that we can at least get notification out to the public for that. So if you don't have a concern on where we start.
I don't have a preference.
Cool.
You and
I'm good.
good?
All right, we'll just jump into our proposals. I think the other two will be faster. So, and will you drop
There.
How impressive.
Fastest
Oh, yeah.
file mover in the West.
Under counter or
Counter.
counter? Okay.
Yeah. All right, we will go to the first one, which is an interim testing proposal. This was the one that was initially presented by the city. And it just had we were discussing a date change.
Mhm.
As we worked through it, we went, oh, we feel like there's a few more things we need to consider. So this is a proposal that references and holds the same intent of what we were trying to do, but with some a little bit of nuance. So I'm just going to kind of read through the new language that I put in. And I also ran this through Chief Zimmerly also because we're trying to, again, capture the intent of having these off-cycle tests. So ran it by him. He said, yes, I see it. I agree with the intent and it looks good. I didn't get to actually talk to him, but I feel comfortable in where we are with that. So the effective date for tests held in spring, because we literally have either tests held in spring or tests held in fall. The effective date for tests held in spring shall be May 16th, shall be held. Sorry, the effective date for tests held in spring shall be May 16th of the test year. And that's just saying that we hold the test in spring. The effective date has always been May 16th. So we're still keeping that language there.
Just out of curiosity, what's special about May 16th?
Nothing.
Okay.
It's fairly arbitrary. But it's a date that we just said we need an arbitrary date set so that nobody can say, well, you picked an effective date that was biased against this person.
I get it.
If we go early
just
with
a
the
step. I get it.
eligibility list, it could expire early. Somebody could die on the vine.
Totally get it.
Yes. So that is our very arbitrary date of May 16th. So what we did also is we put the effective date for tests held in fall shall be November 16th of the test year. So what we did is the goal here was twofold: to move the Captain Fire suppression test to fall so that because we had to put on 2 tests at the same time, and it's very difficult
Yeah.
to manage that at the training facility. So we just wanted to separate them. And the reality is the separation is good for everybody to do. It just allows more space, more flexibility, more timing for crews to train for those things. So, and we have already, through an MOU, agreed for this test cycle to do this, but it's a temporary.
Right.
The contract would make it permanent, that's what we're going to do permanently.
Okay.
Because we are moving one to September, we now had to have a similar arbitrary date for that test to be official. So I chose November 16th as a very similar, exactly 6-month opposite of May 16th date. And so then we have the actual date below that, and this is also why it's important, Stacy. Seniority points for standard promotional exams as well as interim exams will be counted for all full years through the effective date.
Full years.
Yes,
Okay.
so that is why it could be considered biased against somebody. If we said that the date was going to be an effective date of a month later, that means that somebody could now have a full year of seniority, and we were being biased to give somebody extra points in the process in order for them to score higher. So that's another reason why we have kind of an arbitrary date that is set, so people know they can count how many seniority points they have, and it's the same date for everyone, same time.
Based on full years.
It's not a full year.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Arbitrary November 16th, but then also just added in some language that said seniority points will be counted for all full years through the effective date. Everything in black there is current language. So we're going to go on to paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 says, when a vacancy occurs and no valid promotional list exists. So this was our interim. How do we put on an interim test? We went, okay, there's no longer a list and we have people that have promoted, so we have a gap. We're going to put on a list. Last contract, we made the adjustment. The city proposed an adjustment. It used to say 45 days. So it was a quicker turnaround. We agreed to make the adjustment to 90 days to give the city a little more flexibility. Now, what that looks like often is the city comes to us and says, we can't put on a test. We don't want to put on a test. Will you guys grant the exception to not force us to put on a test in 90 days? We write an MOU and say, yes, we will grant this. Here's a reasonable time frame. This is when we agreed to put on the test. Generally, we were kind of trying to work on these pseudo 1-year cycles. So that is the whole basis behind doing a 1-year interim. And it's mutually beneficial. It allows the training division to budget appropriately, and it allows people in the training division to plan appropriately as far as people that are managing programs. For the membership, it allows for people that are going through a promotional process to have a really good idea of when they want to take a test, because they know it will be either every 2 years or our current cycle that we've been in for probably the last 6 to 8-ish years is every year, theoretically, there's going to be a test for you to be able to take to promote. So it allows them having a date set to plan and to start practicing and to start training for that test that's coming up. So again, a kind of mutually beneficial system. I'm going to read the language here that we added in. So when a vacancy occurs and no valid promotional list exists, or when it is reasonably suspected to be exhausted prior to the next biannually scheduled test, an interim promotional exam shall be conducted. So the reason that that language was put in, the reasonably suspected, is if we look at our retirements, which is generally when we promote and we go, we relatively think that we have 3 people that are going to retire on, say it's June 5th, and our list only has 2 people left on it. It allows us to say, let's put on our interim, even though the list isn't exhausted, because we know it will be exhausted and we'll need the new list for the rest of the year. So that's why that language is put in there.
Can I ask who's reasonably suspecting? Who's
Both.
both?
I think it would be both. Yes. That decision generally is a decision that we all look at and go, we think that we're going to exhaust this list and need to put on another test.
So it's a discussion and decision between,
Yes.
okay, all right.
Yes. The examination shall be conducted in the off year of the same scheduled month. The interim exam will be effective immediately after completion of the interim testing process and only after full exhaustion of the original exam list. So that would be the case where we're putting on the exam, the interim exam in March, like we should, even though there's still people on the list, because we know those people are going to be promoted in April and we'll need that list to be established. So the promotional process starts so that we have a list established when we need it. And then we make sure that if that list, say that it's post May 16th, that list is exhausted before the new list becomes active, certified. That way we exhaust the list as we should have done in our normal process, and now the new list comes into effect.
And that's where the previous proposal simplified this a little bit, because it basically said, hey, the list has to be exhausted. But I understand what you're proposing. We could drop all that with the previous. We didn't need that with the previous proposal because the list was exhausted.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
And then if it is deemed by the union that a given interim promotional exam cannot wait until the off year of the regularly scheduled exam, an interim exam shall be given within 90 days of such vacancy. So different wording, but maintaining the same practice, which is if for some reason we're looking at this going, we need to put on a test. There are a bunch of people that are ready to go that are needing to promote, that we can say, as we have always had the right to say, we need to put on a test even outside of that 1 year interim. The reality is, I think that is a very, very rare instance, but we've always had the right, and we just want to maintain that right to say we should put on a test.
Okay.
Why would that be mutually agreed to, kind of like the reasonably suspected?
It's never been. It's always been you shall put on a test within 90 days.
Yep, I agree.
However, the union has said, because it's usually the city that goes, hey, we already think that we don't want to do it yet. And then we would go, well, we think you have to do it, or just going to the contract, right? So it's by default into the contract that the union technically makes the decision.
I would agree now it is, right? That's
Yes, now is the way it is. So we're trying to just retain that right of the right to say no. So all that being said, I kind of wanted to just talk through it like we did. Make sure that we understand we're not asking for rights that we didn't already have. We're just asking to maintain those rights. And even though the words are different, the intent is that we have an off year, which is mutually beneficial for all of us. And then the verbiage with seniority points and those things that help to maintain current status quo.
Yeah, I think I understand everything. I will say I'm struggling from the concept of it's complicated and nuanced enough that are we gaining enough getting out of the MOU process where we have successfully done that numerous times over the years, right? Where we've worked collaboratively, we've looked at the particular situation, and we've made the decisions and MOU'd something. So to me, I go, are we getting enough clarity out of this
to get away from the MOU process and maintaining all your existing rights with the existing contract.
Yes.
language. And as I mentioned before, that was where I kind of got to the first time. It was kind of like, I feel like the MOU process is working. We're both you're being able to say, no, I want to maintain the 90. We're being able to say, look, we have extraneous factors. And you guys go, yeah, those are reasonable factors. Let's just MOU it.
Mhm.
The MOU process isn't super arduous in terms of, we have the ability to do it now, right?
Right.
And both agree or basically you can say, I don't agree, we're keeping the existing contractual language. So that would be the only component that I'll just have to contemplate through and work with the team. I certainly would love to hear Zimmerly and Lewis's opinion on this. The only thing that just off the top,
Mhm.
totally understand the seniority points.
Mhm.
Should that be in the GO instead of the contract? Because I don't think we reference seniority. It should be referenced, but we probably should pull it out of CLA and say, if this gets approved, we need to add this to GO, right? The promotional GO.
Yes.
Rather than having it in CLA, because I don't think we reference seniority points anywhere else in CLA. It's in the
It is in
promotional GO,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that just point of clarification. It's not
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with the concept. It's just, it probably belongs in the GO, not in the CLA.
Yeah.
So we would just need to
Fine.
condition the approval and say, we're going to change the GO with this language.
Yeah. That's totally fine. So to speak on the MOU piece of it, one of the things that happens a lot, and Lewis Zimmerly, I think anybody that's been in that training chief position knows it extremely well. The MOU process, while you say is not arduous, and it's not, it gets forgot about. It creates potential problems often of potential grievances, and it's always a battle for all of us. Whoever's the training chief is taking 100 calls on it. Why'd you do it? This and that.
That's fair.
The union takes the same. Why did you guys choose to do it? Why did we not? There's always one, and it's, one person that goes, well, I have seniority points that start in May and we needed a test in May. Why didn't you force one to happen? You're not treating me fairly. This solves all of that. So
That's fair.
yeah, while I do agree it's a little wordy and there's a lot of stuff in there, I think it is worth the effort to get it done. And I think
you're still going to get it with that last sentence where you guys have the ability.
Oh, sure.
Right. So you're still going to get them. Or Zimmerly will probably get less.
Yeah. I think the reality is if we shift the culture with this, which is this off year cycle, and we have already had a lot of discussion over this with the body to the off year cycle and it being mutually beneficial because you get to plan for it. It at least squashes 90+% of it.
Yeah. Another potential alternative that we could talk about, if we don't think this is going to be a forever thing, do we enter into an MOU now for the term of the next contract, leave all this existing language in your rights in the contract, but say, here's an MOU for 4 years of the contract or 3 years of the contract. At that point in time, the MOU goes away and then we can make a decision whether we want to make this permanent in the next CLA or not. But we have an MOU that does exactly this, but leaves all your existing language in contract so that you're still protected at the end. The MOU expires, right? At the end of the term of the next contract. If we like it, we import in the next, or if we've solved all of our promotional processes, because you know as well as I, it's a cyclic thing, right?
Yeah.
So that could be another option just to
and
throw out there as a potential.
That's been talked about a lot. And that's actually where this came from, is we wanted to make sure that we didn't undo the future. So within this it's an every 2-year process.
Yep.
So it retains the original language of we do a promotional test every 2 years.
Yep.
The only time that the blue language really comes into effect is when there is a need because a list has been exhausted.
Yep.
Then when we know that need is there, we at least have a plan for that need. So we talked about that a lot. We said, well, the first proposal was let's just change our test every year. And we went, oh,
yeah.
because that fixes it right now, but in
Yep.
5 years from now, it's a problem again, and we have to backtrack it. So,
Yep.
yes, love the thought process,
Yep.
but I think this does both for us.
Cool.
All right. Again, I'm sure you'll flesh that out. If you have any other questions, let us know.
Yeah.
So then we go to authorized BL spots. Did we drop that?
Yeah, number 7. Counter.
Got it. So the number 7 in the counter is titled member benefits and vacations. So this is the one that has to do with PCNs, authorized firefighters,
Yep.
when we count them. And it's been a question that's a very hot and heavy topic. It's very ironic, hot and heavy topic in the last year. We just crested over into the 12th person off. So now this is not a problem potentially for the next 10 years, and I'm throwing out an arbitrary number there. But I think that also means this is the best time to fix it because it shouldn't be a problem or a big conversation, kind of like that May 16th date. We've got a system. This is what it looks like. We don't have to think about it again. So we used your initial proposal. This is a counter to that. We kept the striking of authorized and assigned to operations per shift.
Yep.
What we struck was the majority of the 60-day fluctuation. And the reason that we struck a 60-day fluctuation from our perspective is it doesn't make sense for us to be going back and forth on any given day, any given year based on people that are temporarily off the line.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had 20 people off the line based on the last proposal and it was October 1st and we went, oh, we're 20 people. Now we have to remove a position and go back to 11. Then we do our vacation picks in November. Those people come back online. Now we're back in a position of not having enough VL spots for an acceptable use. So within this plan, we struck that and then we added language that said once a new authorized strength has been established, the number shall not decrease unless there is a reduction in force. So we use the calculation of this is how many firefighters that we have that are current positions or PCNs.
Mm-hmm.
We make our calculation based on that. And then the adjustment to that calculation comes when we have an increase in PCNs, and that's when they hit the line. That's when we count them. Or a calculation if we have a decrease or reduction in force, then at that time we would do the same thing. And so the number wouldn't go down unless we had a reduction in force, which theoretically there should be no reason for it to ever go down unless we had a reduction in force. So along the same lines, assigned to operations makes the most sense. That's when those people are able to use VL, which takes the opportunity away from others, which is why we need to then look at that increase. So everything else kind of remains the same. We removed the October 1 date because if we're doing authorized PCNs based on when they hit operations, and it's only new PCNs, right? So it's not when we hold a PCN for somebody because somebody retired, we hold that PCN there and then we just fill that PCN back in. That's not a FTE. And so that's the FTEs is really the only thing that we would be counting. So if we go to an increased staffing model where we bring on, say, 3 new people for a 4th person position, then those 3 people, even though they go through an academy of 20, only 3 of them would actually be counted towards this equation. And we ran the numbers and it was roughly 23 new FTEs that we would need before this conversation ever comes back around. And based on it being a number of 23 people, That's why we think the reality of this, like going back and forth, just doesn't make sense for us on a kind of year to year basis or a medical leave basis.
That's why we kind of decided the date wasn't needed because it's written further down in the contract that we'll revisit that whenever we add new employees or whenever we subtract new employees, like a significant reduction of force. So it makes sense to have a date for that since it's kind of written in there already.
Yeah, like I said, the date makes sense if we're,
Yeah.
it could still make sense just from the standpoint of the way that it's written now. I'm trying to think through this. So because your second paragraph adds when they are assigned to operations, we're gonna calc it again. We could have a time when our authorized strength hasn't gone up, but we would. It won't be until we add 23 people, which is,
But it could just be an evaluation, like, we add 3 people 1 year, 3 years later, we add 3 more people. We could just, all right, we added 3 more people. Let's do that calculation real quick. All right, we're not up to 13.
Yeah, the calculation would be done every time a new FTE is put in place. You would just do a quick run of the calculation. Does it meet did we hire 23 people in the last 5 years and now we've hit that threshold? Yes, okay, then we create the new 13th person off.
so I think that makes sense.
We did the same thing, chief.
Yeah, I know. And the bottom, it has the counter at the bottom. It says likewise, in the event of a decrease in authorized firefighter positions such as reduction of force, discontinuation of the Boise, Whitney, or NAC fire and rescue agreements, then the numbers allowed off would be adjusted effective the date of the reduction.
Yeah.
So that would be that counter of when we would recalculate.
Okay, yeah, I just have to think through it.
Mhm.
Get my hands around it, because what I still get concerned about is if we keep the assigned to operations, which is probably the right trigger, we potentially could have the authorized count not go up, but the number assigned to operations go up. Because like right now, we've got a group coming out of academy,
Mhm.
right? So those folks, as soon as they get assigned to operations,
Mhm.
the number assigned to operations is going to go up,
Yeah.
but our authorized count is not.
Correct.
Correct. We're saying this one.
But they're not FTEs, so we
Yes.
wouldn't count them as the actual PCNs because they're holding a PCN, right? So they're not actually,
They're an attempt PCN.
yeah. So if it was an FTE is when we would then do a count,
And when did they become an FTE?
the budget, as soon as
It
they,
would only be like if we got the SAFER grant and
Yeah.
added 9.
And maybe this language, this sentence.
That's your-
this-
Is that in your best interest? I don't feel like I should argue against myself.
I mean, I think our initial proposal for this was just to get rid of the ambiguity, and then we
Yeah.
felt like the counter proposal kind of increased the ambiguity because it started
Yeah.
like, all right, well, if they're off for 60 days and we decided,
Yeah, I was just trying to look at available resources,
Totally,
right? Is really what the goal was to say. It was just, hey, if we're gonna add those extra firefighters, which I believe we should, if they're in operations, I believe we should add them, right? Even if they're in a temp PCN, they're available to fill shifts, they should get extra vacation, or not extra vacation, but they should be able to take vacation, right? So if we had 20 temp PCNs, we never have that many,
Mhm.
but if we did, and we have 20 people that are in ops, waiting to somebody retire, waiting to somebody to leave, waiting for a PCN, a full-time PCN to become available,
Mhm.
they should count. If we just wait till that authorized number goes out to do the calculation,
Mhm.
we won't capture that extra PCNs on shift, just like we won't capture the reductions on shift.
Mhm.
So this model was really trying to balance that to say, let's take the full snapshot of time and say, when we lose people, we lose people. When we gain people, we gain people. And it tries to balance the pluses and the minuses. And the reason October 1st was generally it was going to be, at least right now, after our academy, before we do VL picks, it was a trying to capture that so that when we go into VL picks, we know we have 13 off, we have 12 off, we have 11 off, whatever it is. That was the intention. I certainly understand the potential challenges with subtracting modified duty, subtracting special detail. Maybe 60 days isn't the right, maybe it's 90. I don't, I don't know what that right number is. But that's what I was trying to do. So let me think through this a little bit more and just make sure I don't want you, I want to get the benefit
Yeah.
of the extra operational firefighters for you guys, while maintaining some city normalization, if that makes sense. So,
Well, I think the language that captures our, once we get there,
Yeah.
there's no reduction, that there, if we get to a point where those people then get filled and we come back up, we're still maintaining that position off. So I feel like we would still capture the benefit of making sure that we have enough slots of VL off within that system.
yeah, let me crunch through it. I totally appreciate the conversation. Like this,
Yeah.
this is what negotiations is. I hate to say it. This is perfect. So, yeah, I just wish I could say yes right now.
Yeah. All
Any
right.
questions from you guys on that? Or are you guys like, I don't know what the heck they're talking about?
No, I'm tracking.
And maybe like the intent for us was to get rid of it's kind of confusing on what count as authorized firefighters. So our initial proposal just said when they're probationary firefighters, they count.
Yeah,
Yep.
And then also we didn't want to get rid of any sort of fluctuation. Like right now, we're kind of right in that fluctuation and we're right at 12. For 12.5 fluctuations are going to matter, but right at 12. So we just don't see like, okay,
Right.
now all of a sudden we're at 11. Now next year we're at 12. Next year we're at 11.
11,
Right,
yeah.
back and forth. We want to get rid of that.
That was the goal, was
Yeah.
not this, but this.
Yep. Yep. No, I would agree. I think that the logic of it makes sense. And even if just the logic is we just want a clear, consistent, repeatable method.
Mhm.
So that we know going forward when all these things occur. Cause like I say, when we hit that 12 or we got to close to that 12, it was a continuous discussion.
Mhm.
I won't throw names out there. But it was a continuous discussion. So.
All right, so those were our proposals that we had for today. And we would be prepared to move on to costing. Ready?
That we could do. I wondered if you don't mind, if before we move to costing, I wanted to check back in on two other ones just to see. I'm not sure if they're TA-able or not, but I wanted to
Got
check
it.
back
Let's do
in
it.
with you all
Yeah.
if that's okay before
Yeah.
we move on to costing. One of them is, it's on our list as city number 4. And it was the vacation notification. If you remember, we introduced one and we ended up splitting it into 3 because some of it was cleanup language, some of it became more negotiable. So that one,
This was just the maximum vacation leave accrual bank discussions where.
and whether there was a notification or
Yep.
not. So wanted to just circle back and see if you all had time to think through that. If you're still thinking A-okay.
We haven't looked at it again.
Again, okay.
Yeah, I wonder if because we split it up, it got kind of hidden somewhere.
Might have lost it. Okay.
So is your number
It was
4?
our number 4. Was it maybe from 6-3, Romeo?
Look.
Oh, let's see if we can find it.
Vacation sell down number
Yep.
4.
I think the problem is
There's the vacation sell down, that's our number 3, and then the vacation notification number 4. Split.
It is in city proposals from June 3rd. And it is the one with the number 4 in front of it. Oh, no, that's.
That's got all of it.
That's all right, that's all right. Nope, nope, nope.
In the same one, but I'm not reading it. Yeah.
Yeah, no. No, we split it out. You can.
Well, I think it is that one. It's number 4.
This is that one, but I think we were gonna split it out, right? So that one.
We just, I think the TA we split out is what we did.
Did we TA it already?
Because the first, well, we only TA'd the
We only
first
TA'd the portion.
Yeah, okay.
that says annual election.
Yes.
You know. But we didn't provide, or we didn't TA the removal of the notifications and the sell down feeds.
Got it.
Do we need to do a file cleanup on our end then and provide just a clean one of just the notification?
So it would be
think
good
we
to,
do.
I think,
I
I
split
think
those.
we, I
I'm happy to do that. So what do we want?
That's okay.
thought we
Yeah.
were ready on, I thought we had split it, but we did not.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I think we did in our list, but we didn't in the red
We may
lines.
not have done it in the red line.
Yeah.
Okay,
The red line that we split out was we just took the portion
The
that,
annual, so
That-
the hours,
yes.
election.
and I think that's what we TA'd.
Yep, that is.
Okay. okay, well, shoot.
That's right.
Momentum
So
killer.
It's
But-
one thing of having the, I mean,
Yeah.
like I say, I think we can reintroduce that and then you guys can take a peek at it and see where you're at with,
Yeah.
like I say, to me, it probably is 3 separate issues. It's all in the same section. So if you were good with all 3 issues, we can do them all. If you want to split them up, then we can split them up. So.
Yeah.
And I think that probably makes sense to split them up.
the sell down, theoretically to kind of put it out there, there's a cost savings. We're looking at tying that into the packages.
Fine.
So no changes need to be made to it. We'll just kind of figure out where it fits in for the sell down portion of it. We don't have an issue with the dates and all of those things. It's just, let's talk about the value and figure out where that lies. And costing is done. I don't think anything needs to happen there.
Okay,
The notification part is just a conversation of we probably need to have another conversation with our members about what that looks like. Technically, it's a benefit to them to get a notification where they're not sitting there staring at their VL all the time and they actually get a notification has always been a benefit. I understand that the system,
I hear you, but we're also making a move as an organization to self-service. And it isn't going to just be vacation leave. It is going to be access to everything that you want and need that has to do with your employment at your fingertips. So this is the beginning of saying you can access anything you want. You can access anything you want. And so this is one of, I think, many things we're going to introduce and train and teach employees.
Mhm.
And we want employees to be able to say, I want to see it. I can pull it up in 5 seconds. I can look at it on my phone. I can look at it in any moment. I think that's really important to empower employees to know their information is theirs.
Mhm.
And so I really would consider this as the beginning stages of what we're going to offer
yeah,
in its entirety when we have an ERP that supports it,
Mhm.
which it will.
I think I totally understand it. For us, it's trying to get our membership to understand
Yeah.
that new things are coming.
And I hear you.
There
I
should
do.
be. So, again, I don't think it's a big issue. We just need to make sure that we have it kind of separated out and that we're able to communicate that across to our membership. But, I don't think there's going to be a lot of pushback in it. It's
And I-
something that,
I also want to clarify, I'm not saying it's not available now. It is.
Mhm.
Anyone can log in and look at their vacation leave now. It is going to become increasingly more easy and the information is going to grow in terms of your access to different information. But right now,
Mhm.
every employee, whether you're general and even police, can access everything right now,
Yeah.
as can your members. So
Mhm.
change management, I know, is hard.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
all right. And then the one other one, We talked about it yesterday. Didn't really get a response, so just wanted to see again where you are at on it. Was the engine storage and moving that into a separate contract.
We're not opposed to moving it into a separate contract. There's just more kind of processing of what does that look like? You know, we heard you say nonprofit, being able to kind of create a contract. The benefit to us, and one of the reasons we were looking at putting it in the contract was twofold. Number one, it gave us some kind of argument, if you will, at a legislative level of this is a benefit we've negotiated that we are theoretically paying for, that it's not city funded, that it's not taxpayer funded. This would be money that was wages, but we negotiated in our contract a benefit to this. So as legislation comes down and there's a discussion about cities, you know, paying for union activities, this strengthens our argument by having it in the CLA. So that was number one. Number two is if it's in the CLA, we don't have to talk about a contract, a separate contract, a third contract, if you will, on whatever term basis that contract would be set up on. So it's a little bit of an ease of in the contract that we're not doing the third separate. So
Okay,
that being said, those are our kind of the factors that we're weighing on that. There's absolutely, we're not saying no to doing that. We understand, you know, the city's got things that you're looking at as far as why you want it there. So
Yeah.
there may be a little more conversation about it as we kind of work down the path, but it's there that I think we'll get to a solution that works for all of us.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Those were two. Okay,
Yeah, and we have it in our kind of in our column as well to have some action at some point to at least reintroduce and have some more conversation about it.
okay, so then costing.
Yeah.
Okay. No, let me see if Justin is available. We might need a quick caucus, but hopefully he's at the ready. Oh, gosh. Okay, looks like Justin is inbound.
All right.
Okay.
Please don't touch anything.
Don't touch it. Again, I did not touch anything.
Hello again. How we doing? Good to be back.
You have a key for the doors, Justin?
Yeah, after yesterday, right? I'm glad I could assist. So I think we're here to chat costing, right? So a couple of things that we were able to look into for you all. Let's start with the specialty team pay. So what our team ended up doing was we dropped all the percentages that were at the 6% and the 7% down to 5%, right? And so in doing that, we generated about 130,000 in savings in that proposal between the original and if everybody was at 5%. We also looked to at the number, and this is our data set for specialty team pay was built created when we did the budget build. So it's a snapshot in time from a couple of months ago.
Sure.
So what we ended up looking at too was how many folks were in that 0 to 5, right? How many were in the 5 to 10? How many were in the 10 plus? And so at least from our data set, we had about 79 in the 0 to 5, 30 in the 5 to 10, and 29 in the 10 plus. And what I would also kind of caveat this with is when we did our initial pricing, I know there are some folks currently who are on multiple teams, right? So I think in our data set, it was around 6. We included that in our initial proposal. So the costing includes if so, those 6 folks would be getting the benefit of both teams, at least in the current numbers.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think, any questions on specialty team pay, or were there other pieces you were hoping that we would provide?
So you came up with $130,000 in savings, so we could say that was that 3%, Cam? Was it 1%, 2% you had on there?
It'd be a total of 7% at your top step.
Yep.
So drop,
So it's dropped 2%. So that
Yep.
$130,000 was roughly 2%.
And it's important to remember too, I mean, if you think about the buckets, right, there were 30 people who were getting that 5 to 10, so that's the cost of those 30 dropping 1%, right?
Mhm.
And then the 10 plus, those are dropping to 2% down.
Mhm. Yep.
I think that makes.
Yep. Okay. Great.
Think with what you've given us, we've got all the data points to get a rough estimate of where we are.
Yeah.
Great.
You feel like that, Cam?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Thanks for the member breakdown too.
Yeah.
Yes,
How does-
absolutely. Okay, so I think that was the first one. And then I think there was another request on the paramedic.
Yes.
The AEMT.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what we did was we looked at what would happen if we in the system dropped all current captain paramedics from the 10%, right, down to the 5%. And what we're showing for that is about 135,000.
Do you have a number of paramedics? Was it 19?
I would have to,
It's on that sheet that I sent you guys.
That one's advanced. What you just
The
said?
second tab is.
Oh, there's no- Stand by.
I think there are,
So there's 2 tabs. There's the first tab is the AEMTs and paramedics acting as AEMTs. The second
Ah.
tab is paramedics.
Is a second tab.
So captains is 17,
17.
captain paramedics, and that,
and I just would want to clarify too, I can confirm with Kira, because I know we had also gotten another data set too, but mine was, I think, currently showing. What did you have?
17.
17. I'm showing 19 on mine, but it might just be a timing.
This is from April, so this is a couple
Oh.
months
Okay.
old. So
Yeah.
it very well could be that if we promoted captain since then, I would assume we have in the last 2 months, right?
So sometimes those have the timing snapshots.
Oh, the old snapshot.
Well, we definitely had Presido.
Presido might be
Yep,
one.
Presido's one, and
Training. So well.
I can check in the system too if that gentleman is in our system in the testing instead of.
or did we move back one of the paramedics that's working as an AMT to a captain?
Okay, yeah.
Somewhere between 17
One of
and
the captains,
19.
one of the captains may have gotten their
Let's
medic
call it
back.
18.
Yeah.
Right out.
Ish.
Ish. Where's that come
Bill
from?
Armstrong, Burkheiser, Cowan, you, McLean, Nestler, Presido is one for sure, Turner. Those are all the senior firefighters.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Uh,
But it just wouldn't have somebody who dropped their medic and then maybe got it back potentially.
yeah, Hargan, Oldham, Sapien, Tiffany. Captain paramedics working as AMTs. I don't know. We can,
It's close, it's close.
ish. I hate to go back to the ish discussion, but it could change.
But it was, yeah, it
It'll
will
change.
almost certainly change in another 2 months. Yeah.
Perfect. I feel like we've got data set 5, and we've got the total, so. Perfect. All right, I'm good with that. You guys have any more
No.
information, details?
Yeah, it's great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yes, thank you, Justin. That's helpful for sure. Perfect. Well, I think we've got last 2 proposals. We've got some more costing information for us. I say we're at scheduling coming up for lunch, and then I feel like we talk about what the second half of the day looks like.
Great.
I feel real quick as far as the second half of today that we are back to a point that maybe a second day kind of caucus for us is place to go. I feel like that's kind of our goal and what we're now working to is I feel like we've got a pretty good wrap around most of the costing that we need. We're working through kind of some budgeting information, and then our next goal is to be able to potentially present kind of a package of what we're looking at. At least the start of what that looks like on the 3rd. I think we'll definitely need time to work through that. So do you guys have anything for the rest of today, the second half of today, that you'd like to?
No, I
Work
think
through it.
we're,
Got those couple TA.
yeah,
I think we've walked through all of. I don't know of anything else that,
I think we have anything else outstanding.
I can't say anything.
that we are working to try to make that Tuesday workshop happen.
Okay.
So Chief Hummel's working on that right now. It
Go.
looks like,
Calendar ball.
so,
Oh, look at
I guess it happened.
wow, the magic in the
Yeah.
corner,
So,
making it.
It's a magical corner.
with, I'm gonna throw this out there, with costing, I know we've talked about it a little bit, and it's a very difficult kind of proposition, but we had done this before, and this is referring to our sick leave proposal and trying to cost out what our potential could look like. When we presented a year and a half ago to I think most of HR was there, a few people from finance. We walked through the culture shift, the change in behavior that we think we will see in that. And rough numbers, we were sitting at, if we had a 25% change in behavior, that was going to cost the city X amount of dollars. If we had, and I'm kind of throwing out some rough numbers here, if it was 33%, that's where we were kind of at a break even in a change in behavior. If we got to anything above that, then there started to be kind of a cost savings that came into the city. Is there a way that we could try to get some numbers placed on maybe just some percentages in making an assumption of change in behavior? Work through that?
We could definitely like think about that, right? Because I think there's a couple of factors that are in play. One being, I think the initial proposal was say moving to 100%, right? One of the things that's going to be difficult too is we have the rule of 80, right? So in a way, if you were to cost that out, what the savings would be needed to essentially break even on that, right? That's essentially for year one, right? What happens as people continue to move through the system, right? Maybe a next cohort is getting ready to retire, right? Then kind of that number kind of shifts and changes based on how many people are eligible to retire and the behavior change that then follows behind that, right? So there's a couple of variables that I think we'd want to think about, and we can kind of talk about that as a team. But there's so much, there's the retirement side of things, right? Like how many people are going to be retiring in a particular year? Like that's one variable. And also then the behavior change that comes up behind that in terms of hours changed, right? Are people now moving to the 1200, cap max, or they weren't moving to that before? So there's just a lot of variables. So I think I want to maybe talk to the team a little bit about that.
Okay. And if we have maybe some time during that working group day that we have, if we don't need a full day, maybe we could do another couple hours of a working session, just trying to work through what that could look like in trying to cost out some.
I mean, We were kicking around some ideas yesterday and I think are close to having an idea to present. So I think we could either, if we wanted to touch base again this afternoon, or if that was something we could commit to having a count. Would it be a counter? Yes. It would be.
It would be a
It was your
counter.
words, yes. Or that could be something that we could commit to having for next week, but I think we are close. We arrived late yesterday on a concept that we're like, this just might work, so
Yeah.
I don't want to commit us to saying that within the next, 15 minutes, but
Sure. Yes, any,
so yes, we can both, we're more than happy to share information as we have conceived of it
Yeah.
in terms of costing. And I think we're close to having another idea on the table to work with.
okay,
So
that
Yeah,
sounds
to
great.
both.
That sounds great. Our goal really is, again, in this timeframe here of either the 30th or the 1st, depending on kind of our scheduling, being able to really start trying to package
Package things.
together.
Yeah.
And so that costing around that
is
is part of that,
yeah,
right? It would be really helpful
okay,
to look at it, and it would be helpful to say, is there a cost to the city at this point, and we need to manage that?
Yeah.
There's a lot of conversation around it that I think really will help us to work through what we would like to do. So
Great.
Yeah, and the sick leave one is super, you know this, right? I mean, even if,
Swear to God, I didn't.
it's just a very, like, trying to cost that, it's not even an ish, it's a
yeah,
wish. I mean, right, that's, that's Justin's hesitation to give you any numbers
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like year one, I have no idea. I mean, how many people have talked to you and said, hey, I'm waiting to see what happens in negotiations from a retirement standpoint?
Yeah. half a dozen.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I mean. So you think about that.
If they all go
Wow.
out at 100%.
I know.
And there's a ginormous amount of behavior change that has to happen to offset
Yeah,
that.
first year cost.
Yeah, yes and no, but because the reality is, if this doesn't go through, then they stay here and they go get certified,
Potentially.
right? So the cost, I mean,
predict.
it
It's
is.
so hard.
I mean, it is.
I mean, it's so hard
We
to,
have,
Yeah.
people telling us things and we are trying to go, okay, where does this land? And we've talked about the idea of, this job putting people in a position that they are beat up at the end of their career. And if they have a benefit that makes more sense for them to use to heal themselves prior to retirement, it makes sense for them.
well,
So,
and we see that with honestly general employees too.
yeah,
You get into your 50s and I have seen many folk who are not in fire or police where it's like, well, I'm gonna retire, but first I'm gonna have this knee replaced,
Mhm.
right? So there's
Yeah.
also just an aging
right.
body component to
Right.
it, so.
So for us, I mean, anything that we can do to try to walk through some of that, and I think, a working group, I just want to throw it out there that that's an option for us to try to work through some of those assumptions, maybe of, this was a very clear example of your perspective is there's an initial spike in cost. My perspective is yes, but it's either that cost or it's this cost. And the cost really becomes then, well, now you're backfilling the majority of those positions at time and a half. So it's even a higher cost than if you were to pay it out. So I really like to kind of have an opportunity to work through some of those. Then we have this real scenario that, I want to give you some information that we're looking at over on our end, which is there a risk? Yes, there's a risk potentially for the city, or there's a risk potentially for us. Do we look at a proposal where we try to share risk and then we share reward that is there? Do we look at a proposal where we go, we will take on all of the risk if there's no change in behavior, but that would also look like we would take on all the reward that was there. So in order to kind of work through this and us saying, hey, we're trying to, our concept for years has really been, we think that this is a win-win for everybody here. We think it's got a budgetary surplus that eventually kicks in with this shift in thinking and shift in culture. We truly think it's there. I know that's hard to, you're almost gambling on it. But we feel from our perspective, like it's way
You're
less,
bullish.
way
We're
less.
bearish.
of a gamble. But because we're
Sick leave prediction.
we're so
Right.
confident that there's gonna be a change that's positive, that we're really trying to support, let's put it in place. That's,
Yeah, and like I said, I do think we had a little bit of an aha moment yesterday, so. Is that something you all would be willing to check in on after lunch in
Yes.
a caucus?
Yeah.
Or, I know we were just saying like, let's caucus the rest of the day, if that was something we
Yes.
thought would be beneficial to chat through.
Yep.
Perhaps we could carve a little more time back at the table out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll be over here, so it's,
Okay,
if we want to just chat and say, hey, we want to have a quick discussion on costing, then we can do that.
cool.
I did solve the paramedic discussion.
Oh, yeah.
So it's 17 operation captains, 19 total captains, because we had.
Everyone was right.
Everyone was right.
And when I say I mean Kurt Freeman texted car.
You get a call.
Text, one in each column. Yeah, we can have.
Yeah, Freeman just texted, just so you know that, and I'm like, oh.
Forgot
We even talked about Precita.
I know, I wouldn't think mad at you.
That's why. So from a cost standpoint, it's 19 paramedics. From an ops standpoint, it's 17 on.
So, there you go.
Perfect.
It's why you have to ground your assumptions.
You're right. You're right. Would we like to, in our last 7 minutes, pick some days just for the city to put notice?
You're gonna have a real sad panda moment. Sad panda. Get your faces ready. So the lovely Tammy, I'm so sorry. The lovely Tammy reminded me that in fact we did do all of July,
All right.
and there was a reason we stopped at the 7th.
Because it was a mess, wasn't it?
It's a
I remember that.
real mess. So I will email, or Tammy, could you please email the calendar to all of us? And then we can maybe look at that
Yes.
over lunch and caucus and see if,
Perfect.
so yes, we will figure out of any of the city dates. We may have blew them out because one of the three of us wasn't available, but we'll go look and see if there are two of us available on any of those dates. And maybe you all want to do the same for the
Sure.
green dates
Yeah.
to see if we can get
Yeah.
to two on each side.
Yep.
But I said, Tammy, do we need to like look at days? And she's like, you're gonna be sad. We did that already. And I was like, oh. So we'll, thank you, Tammy, for getting that to all of us. And
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to actually pull
That
up our
sounds great.
personal calendars and duke it out.
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll work on it
Okay.
over caucus.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
What time shall we
Leaving.
plan to come back?
I would say we just caucus permanently.
Just-
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And then, yes, if we have dates that you look at your calendar, we look at ours, we can send them to Tammy and go, here's a couple of work. And then if we have any questions on anything, we can just shoot a message back.
And if we say we want to get back together on sick leave, we'll just.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Perfect.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Productive morning.
Yes. Is that?
Good too.
Two cheers.
You didn't even plant the tea any. Because no afternoon would be complete without talking about sick leave proposal. We are so excited to be back.
Yes.
All right, so picking up, I think where we left off yesterday, there is something here to be had, and we have an idea.
All right.
So we're here to share an idea. And really, I think the intent of this proposal is in many ways, same spirit of intent. So we do think that there is benefit to all involved to see constant staffing come down, sick leave usage when not appropriate, go down.
Mhm.
We still believe we offer sick leave for very good reasons, and we don't want people to stop using sick leave if they actually need to use their sick leave,
Right.
to be very clear. However, as we talked before, I have been very uncomfortable, and this is, I think, y'all are bullish on this.
Mhm.
I'm a little bearish on this. I've been very nervous about the amount of potential liability that we would be taking on. So our proposal that we will be introducing here, both Stacy and Romeo will have a few words to say here too, but the proposal that we are putting out is intended to kind of limit some of that risk and liability,
Mhm.
but still do the incentive side of it to hopefully see behavior change. So I wanted to lead with intent. This looks really different than what you presented, but it's, I think, just like a different way to look at it.
Sure.
But I think we're still like in the spirit of the same intent, just kind of a different way to come at it. And I don't know, Stacy or Romeo. I think Romeo's,
We had to make a quick change. Hold on.
okay,
Oh, we're good.
We're good. Okay.
we're good.
All right.
Okay, so kicking it over to you two. I've got spirit of intent out there.
I'm sorry, did you talk about the nature of how we would approach this with MOU?
Oh. So we're also, thank you for that. Also sticking, now we're going like back in time
Mhm.
to the idea of a pilot.
Mhm.
So we are also presenting this not as a proposal for the contract per se, but as an MOU that then kind of keeps the spirit of the pilot.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
slightly different, a little twist, a little variation, bringing in many elements that have been around in discussion for some months.
Okay, and I think it
Should be out
is
there.
in the counter proposal, city counter proposal. If you want to open it up, under memorandum of understanding, and so fully expect Christine and Chief to jump in on this. This has been, I will say, the proposal we've spent the most time on by far.
Yeah.
Of kicking around, what are we really trying to get out of this? What are we looking for? And so as we talk about that, we had some thoughts this week where we came to the conclusion of, okay, are we focused on the right folks that we're trying to hit to, or that we're trying to benefit in order to perhaps change behavior, that over time there is this greater benefit both to the members. And I think one of the things that we were having the hardest time with was that this really was going to benefit a few and not the majority,
Mhm.
in terms of if we were to put in place the proposal as it stands, the ones that benefit the most are obviously the ones that are about to retire.
Mhm.
And one of the conversations that we were having is that those are the very people that aren't going to contribute to this pilot. Those are the very people that aren't going to have the behavior change that then should benefit from what this will look like. So that kind of created some conversation of how could we do this differently? So rather than increasing the contribution as it stands, what we're proposing is to increase the sell down. And if you look at the language, and I'm just going to read through the new language as it stands, and then we can discuss. So Boise City shall transfer accrued sick leave of shift duty members in excess of 1,200 hours into the members' HRE. Am I reading what? Am I good?
Yeah.
HRE Viva account in January of each year. Boise City shall transfer accrued sick leave of 40-hour work week members in excess of 600 hours into a member's HRE Viva account in January of each year. Value of the excess hours used for the HRE Viva will be determined using the sick leave balances from the last day of the biweekly pay period of the calendar year. Payment shall be made in the second biweekly pay period of January at the rate of 50% for shift duty members and 70% of 40-hour work week members, your terms, I'm still getting used to them, forgive me, standard rate on the last day. So we're ultimately proposing to initially, and I want to say initially, because this is kind of one of these things that we want to see, does it indeed change behavior? Over the course of the contract, whatever the contract is, we would have an MOU that basically would say, okay, if we actually do increase and we're contributing to members at all stages within the career, does it actually change behavior? And if it does, we can revisit increasing accordingly. Whether that's 75%, whether that's 100%, whatever that looks like, we can come back and say, okay, it did. It absolutely did. We went to 50% and we did see, and maybe it's incremental, but we did see behavior change and we saw sick leave reduction. At that point, there is additional benefit. The risk is not just to the city, and we get to actually see, does the behavior change before we come back and say, okay, perhaps we do put this into the contract, and then we look at, does it make sense to go to 100%? Does it make sense to go to a different percentage? So did I do that justice?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, to boil it down, it is really changing the annual, right? When we at the end of the year, anything over 1,200 goes from 35 to 50% for shift duty members. So it's an incremental step. It's not as far as certainly as your proposal went. Even as some of our initial counter proposal discussions went, we feel comfortable with this in terms of providing this. And then as Stacy kind of alluded to, it's kind of like we were talking about before with the MOU concept, is writing it as an MOU allows us a little bit more flexibility to come back and discuss to, if it doesn't work, if we don't see the changes, then we have some ability outside of contract, if you will, being it's in an MOU. The other thing that is probably pertinent to discuss a little bit from a budget standpoint is from a management standpoint, anytime we take away flexibility in some savings, we balance our budget, if you will, at times. Hey, our constant staffing is over, but we have savings in salary, or our overtime is over and we have savings in some other personnel line item. Or even the callback, right? The callback was over 5 or 10 grand over our budget amount. We're able to balance that with savings over in Pickett, right? Another personnel line. So anytime we reduce some of that flexibility, it just reduces some flexibility to cover overages where we may have to go back to the city at that point in time and ask for adjustments. Hey, if we have a big valley fire and we have an extra $10,000 of overtime expenses that we didn't plan for, we're able to cover that when we have greater flexibility in personnel. So it's not a end all be all. It's just a reality of our system. We don't budget personnel line by line. We budget personnel as an overall package and look at our personnel budget. And then we're able to move things around, if you will, on the back end. And we don't even really move them. We just overspend a particular line item and then have a little savings in another line item. So it's looked at from finances standpoint, and certainly ours as well, as a package. So anytime we take and we reduce that package, or we create more spending and potentially create, some overages or underages, it reduces some of our flexibility.
Yeah.
Or potential flexibility. So yeah, so I think that's the concepts there.
Christine,
So-
anything we missed?
Yeah, I mean, and I do think it's important that what we continued to say was, hey, as we continue to move forward with this, and I know we keep throwing out this new ERP, like it's going to be the placebo forever, or maybe placebo is the wrong word.
Yeah.
Panacea, that's the word I was looking for. Big word of the day, panacea. The potential to use that system to its full ability to maybe do some of this analysis for us and to look at the savings, to look at the changes in sick leave, I believe potentially should be there, right? I mean, if it's as beautiful as we believe this ERP to be,
We hope that there will be the ability to have more complexity and be able to configure for that complexity and manage it within the system so that it's not a 600-hour process for us to manually go through person by person by person and calculate. but we're not there yet, and we will be. And the beauty in this MOU is there's a lot of things that over this period of time, whatever that period of time is, we get to evaluate. We get to say, okay, we know what our capabilities are now. We could support greater complexity. We could go further with whatever we come back to the table with. But this gives us a starting point. This seeds this idea of we want to change behavior. We want to be able to reward folks that do change behavior. I firmly believe you want to reward the right folks, not those that are about to step out, after a long career that won't necessarily be the ones contributing to the utilization of less sick leave. And so being able to do it this way is a point that we could come back to and say, it worked. And we absolutely see it. So then let's talk about where we take it to and what does this look like long term.
So just to try to quantify a little bit, we're talking about in this MOU, just annual annual sell down change, not retirement change.
But eventually,
Mhm.
that will benefit those that are going to retire at some point.
But really the goal and why we did that particular one and focus there, I would say, is that has the best chance of changing behavior. If we change the retirement sell down component, it's going to take a long time to see that. And the 3-year firefighter is probably not going to say, well, I'm planning for retiring in 25 years. And this is really a huge value to me. And I might not make the change in behavior. Where this, they're going to see it every year. As soon as they hit 1,200 hours,
Sure.
they're seeing an increase. That was part of the concept. Is it should affect behavior change quicker than changing the retirement. It also impacts the greater potential liability that the city is incurring because they're smaller amounts, they're covered. So, yes.
So our proposal, I think, covered both. I mean, we were looking at annual.
100%.
sell-down. We were also looking at retirement sell down. But there are two also separate considerations and separate issues, right? If we're talking about someone that's retiring, that's going to make the decision to go, I've got this sick leave. It's valued at roughly 27%. And I'm going to choose to stay here, collect my paycheck and utilize that sick leave in order to get healthy.
I do.
When they make that decision, then there is the backfill cost at time and a half.
Correct.
So there's a huge benefit also to the city of going, well, why would we want to pay it at time and a half instead of paying it at 100%, which is straight time? So it saves the city a lot of money, even on the retirement side. It also helps on the annual sell down side. Now, I want to say a couple things. Number one is MOU, no problem with the idea of creating a pilot. As a matter of fact, we proposed.
That was where we started.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
The problem that we run into with a pilot is just making sure that the pilot has a term that's long enough to see the behavioral change and be able to calculate it, if you will, to at least quantify what that behavioral change has meant. So not opposed to going down this path. The 35 to 50% for annual sell down, we've also talked about a couple times that the goal is again to change behavior. We don't feel like we're going to get a change in behavior. So theoretically, looking at this, we think it's a failure from the get-go. We don't see it as being able to be kind of a stepping stone because there's just a turnaround point for most people where they go, it has enough value for me to make a change in behavior. And that's what we're trying to track is the actual change in behavior. If we say you're getting paid $1 today, tomorrow you're going to get paid $1.10, is that going to change your mind? Maybe not. But if we have 100% change, that's really what's going to drive the change in behavior, which that change in behavior is where we see the benefit come back to the city. So again, not that we're, I mean, it's theoretically, right? If you think about what I'm doing, I'm kind of sitting here saying, no, we don't want that 35%. If I was not being serious about my thought process of where I think this really is, I'd go, sure, it's free money, right? It's better than where we are now. So why would I even sit here and say that we don't like the idea of doing that? Well, because I want to see it be successful and I want to see it to actually come to fruition to where the conversation has become a reality where we see a real change behavior. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there, talk about it. We'll go back, we'll look at it.
So Jason,
Conceptually,
just for clarity, so your assumption is anything less than 100% would not change behavior?
no. Close. I mean, I don't want to say yes, 100%. There has to be a swing. There has to be a big enough swing. And we talk about kind of the decision-making process that, a married couple potentially makes and using their sick leave and how they utilize it and the value of it. So my opinion and our opinion is there has to be a big enough swing to make that decision look different, which would be, okay, spouse A has a PTO bank, and this is theoretically how much their PTO is worth. Spouse B / firefighter has a sick leave bank. This is how much it's worth. We're going to weigh as a family the value of those. And until the value of spouse B firefighters comes up, that decision's not going to change. So I don't know what that number is. I mean, it may be 80% is the number. And that is enough to really get a swing and a culture shift. So again, not saying no. And again, I mean, I'm trying to be very realistic in the idea of moving it in a small increment, while theoretically sounds great. And we move it in small increment, we move it in small increment. But to me, we move it in small increment, the program fails and it never comes to fruition. Because we don't see the change that we're looking for.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
But absolutely appreciate where it's at, and we'll still take it back
Pick
and
another.
Yeah. process and look at it and see where we think it is. And
And I do want to just reiterate what Chief said here around like this particular methodology is simple to apply, right? We do it today.
yes,
It's simple to apply.
Changing it.
It doesn't
Right.
require anything more administratively,
Right.
and we have the opportunity to watch. So that piece of it is very solid in the why.
Yeah.
Of why we needed to really look at, can we even do this? Is it even feasible? And again, a year and a half from now, we might be in a very different position where it's like, okay, how do you want to configure it?
Right.
How do you want to analyze it? How do you want to, is it person by person, whatever that looks like? So I think that's something to keep in mind. And then I really do like the piece of whatever the incentive is. I like the piece of being able to revisit this and really
Yeah.
testing it,
Yeah.
pressure testing.
Yeah.
it. Great. Yeah.
All right,
perfect.
we got an idea out, finally.
Yeah,
We're just proud of ourselves for finally getting to something that's like, well, we have a fully formed thought.
yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate it. I think unless you have anything else, we will just retire back to caucus and continue on. I think we got some more dates on the calendar.
Yes.
It looks like, yes. Thank you for revisiting.
Yes.
Just so you know, I think it's the 13th. I'll be gone.
15.
15.
The 13th, or sorry,
Venmo.
what's the days? What days did we decide on?
15.
15th.
30th.
Yes.
Okay, so the 15th, I
Summer
will
Romeo.
be gone as
Summer Romeo.
well as Chief Hummel. So if we do need to make that occur, we've got a couple options. Potentially Chief Bowl and Chief Lewis, one of those two, depending on what we're talking about that day. And or if there's a portion that I need to jump on for, I can remote in from East Coast.
Perfect.
So the 29th, I'll be here all day, and then the 30th, I'll be here till like 2 in the afternoon. So, so those are
We're not even gonna need those dates because we're gonna get wrapped up on the seventh. But
Right.
just in case.
I don't think that's an unrealistic goal.
It's not.
It's still our goal.
With our
Still our goal.
track that we're on, there is a lot of potential. Yeah.
Saying there's a chance.
There's a chance.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Have a, are we officially at have a good weekend? Are we,
Close enough.
I mean.
Yeah.
All of us, right?
Yeah.
Formally,
We won't see you
yes.
again until next week. Have a good weekend. Rest of the week. Good weekend.
Yeah, 'cause next week we have three, right? 3 sessions.